Here we are. What's up, Cooler? What's up, Black Ken? We live. The Warrior. It's been a while from me, AD. Hope you're doing good, brother. Hope you're doing good, Warrior, man. Hope everything's going great with everybody. Everybody. And the Warrior. And the Warrior. Make sure I'm plugged in solid like. So I was gonna live stream. Today's Wednesday. Okay, I was planning a live stream yesterday, but a friend of mine wanted to hang out because him and his spouse had issues. Blah blah blah. A friend of mine from Africa, he's from Benin. I think he's from near Nigeria or something. I can't remember where exactly he's from because he kind of mixes. I think he's like lived in both. I don't know, but because he always says Benin and he always says Nigeria, so I never really know like if Benin's in Nigeria or I don't really know. I just don't know. But we hung out last night, and and I met him at his job, right? And his job is actually a beautiful place. It's like it's I don't say top of the line, but it's modern. It's like modern, clean. You walk in, it's a beautiful place. And when I first walked in there, I was like, I wouldn't mind hanging out in here for a while, right? But I've been so separated from the workforce, like the memories of like having to clock in with a bag, and it's like the mentality of like when you be working a job and shit, like hey, it just turns into high school all over again, kind of thing. Like I was like, no, I can't do it. Can't do it. It's a beautiful place. It was a beautiful place, right? Beautiful place. Because when I first got there, I couldn't find it. And on the first floor, it was like Porsche, and it had like I seen a Porsche car in there. I was like, what? I mean, first off, the area was beautiful, and then you like, Porsche is not a bad way to start out getting into a building, right? So I'm like, yeah, this is like some nice shit, This is like some nice shit. I haven't seen a building that nice since I was back in the U.S. All right, like that was that thoroughly like clean and put together that solidly on the inside. I hadn't seen that quality since I've been in America. Out of everywhere I've been over here, I haven't seen like because they kind of do more of that old cathedral shit here. So like to see something that modern and well made in that form is like it's not common, or if you do see it, it's going to be in richer neighborhoods. It's not going to be like the norm out here. Um, and you had the little car. You had to go, it let me in. And I mean, but like it was cool. But then I imagine myself doing that shit. I got to pull like the lanyard and go. I just have memories of doing that shit. I'm so separated from like the legit workforce of like full-time work kind of thing. I haven't done that shit since I was maybe like 22. Well, I started college when I was 22 when I like succeeded that time. And so I haven't worked like full-time work like that in what's this? About 16 years now. Going on 16 years. So like so maybe it's changed. Maybe it's changed. Maybe my perspectives has changed. It could be me. Maybe I'm the fucked up one. Maybe I just remember what I remember when I was 20 doing that. And it just like I was just so traumatized. I just said never again kind of thing. Because perspectives change. Like another perspective I had that change is I went traveling again, which I don't post to social media because sometimes I just don't like social media. I think social media is horrible. I think it's terrible because it just constantly bombards you with like perfect views of people lives and all. And I think it's bullshit. I think most of the people who are actually posting to social media this fancy shit, they're either lying, they're living off their parents, or they're living off like a family trust fund or some shit like that. Like or they're just in severe debt kind of thing. This is one of those. Because I was gonna post on my Instagram when I travel back out to an area I used to be in when I first came here, because I wanted to eat this rib restaurant. So I caught a train outside of Prague, and it was about an hour ride. I didn't know it was gonna be that long. And one reason why I think I'm kind of like bitter about Czech Republic is because is because I think a big part of it is when I first came here, I didn't speak the language at all. And then on top of that, like, that politeness that Americans have is not, Europe is not polite. Like, motherfuckers are not, courtesy and politeness, you'd be lucky to get that shit here, right? So, like, with the two mixed in together, that fuck around and turn you off of people, right? So now when I travel back to areas like I used to live in or I used to be in, and now I can actually like look around and read shit, or I can communicate with somebody now and I know what they're saying back to me. Like now my perspective is shit. Now to be honest, like some places are still just filled with cold assholes, like that type of thing. But it's gotten better. I say that because I can actually read. I actually can talk to people. So I went out to an old area I used to live in and went to this. It used to be my favorite rib place, and I got ribs there, and they was alright, right? They was alright. They were better the first time I had them like years ago because it was my first time leaving America, and America food is awful unless you spend a shitload of money on it. So, um, so at first the food was it was amazing back then. Now it's just a regular restaurant now. It wasn't bad, but it was good. It was good. And but yeah, and I was gonna post it on social media because I wanted to post the reality. The train ticket was like $4, right? And the restaurant was maybe like $10, right? So it's not expensive shit. It's not expensive, right? It was literally just like I said, trains in Europe, buses, public transportation, at least where I am, is super cheap. And most that I know of is cheap. And on top of that, they don't they don't make fun of you for riding trams or trains. But like in America, you would get roasted for riding public transportation in North America. If you went around the street and say, "Oh, I gotta go catch the bus," like, "Are you on drugs?" They would think you were like a motherfucker will roast you for riding a bus in North America, right? Out here, it's not like it's the opposite. Motherfuckers damn near prefer it because now you don't have to worry about parking and shit like that when you get somewhere. Because parking is an issue here because like Europe doesn't do spacious things very well, so like everything is like the most tailored shit possible. So like parking is always a problem. Even if you're out in a village, parking is always a problem. Like I cannot remember one place I've ever been to or driven to in Europe where parking was not a problem. Regardless if you're in a city or if you're in like some small village, it's always a problem. Always a problem. Um, but yeah, I was gonna post a trip to Instagram. And I just don't like social media, man. I just feel like people should not post like everything they do. Because I got pictures of the ribs and I took a picture of my ticket to show people like, on Instagram, like how much I'm spending. So like, because social media has this thing where it like pushes like, oh, look how wonderful my life is. I don't have a care in the world and I just spend money like there's no tomorrow because my life's perfect. And I hate that shit. I hate it, right? Man, I think I still got the ticket somewhere. But it was like 70 crowns, man. It's like $3 or $4. It's not expensive at all. Um, but the great part about Czech Republic is again, like, stuff is cheaper and you can have a much better quality of life on nothing. Like I still gotta drive my car. I haven't driven my car in like a month. I gotta drive it before it fucks around and like breaks down or some shit. It's been sitting there. I ain't even don't even drive. I just ride the trains, right? Um, but yeah, with living here, living in Prague, man, like you could do a whole lot. You could have a much more adventurous life for a lot less money here. Versus like let's say like in anywhere in North America to do half of this shit, you're gonna have to plan, you got to go much harder in planning, right? You can't just unless you got family wherever you getting ready to go, you got to plan some shit, right? America is just harder to have that more adventurous life. But yeah, yeah. So I never posted. I may change my mind and post it. I don't know. But yeah, the buddy of mine, he's from because he was sending me. What's the name of the? Let me look at the name of the country. Because we were talking about Africa last night, but we was talking about life because him and his wife had issues and all that. But we was talking about, hey, let me see, what was the name of that country? He sent me a video about Ibrahim Traore. Ibrahim Traore. Oh, I forget what the name of the country was. I had it saved. I can't remember what I did with it. But it's like a two word country. fuck did I? Because he was telling me about because we were talking about he was telling me how like Europe and North America is responsible for keeping Africa like fucked up. He said like pretty much anytime any place in Africa tries to like develop, like Europe or North America would just come in and just like try to trigger some type of like internal war among their own people kind of thing, and like just set them against each other kind of thing. We had a long talk about it, and I told, I'm usually a pretty transparent guy with this shit. Like, look, everything is zero sum theory. Everything came from somewhere. Very rarely did motherfuckers just happen to just live in complete peace and never did anything to anybody. All right, it's zero sum theory is always there. Zero sum theory pretty much means like, okay, literally, okay, there is okay, absolutely nothing is completely for free. You had to work for everything, right? You had to work for you had maybe you didn't realize it, but you had to work to take your next breath in. You just didn't realize it, but you had like your body had to do it to expel some energy for it. Like nothing at all is free. If anybody's rich, and there's a lot of poor motherfuckers, and if there's some poor motherfuckers, somebody's rich, right? Came from somewhere. But yeah, I forget what the name of that country was. So I had it up somewhere. What's the name of that country? Fuck, I can't remember the name of the country. Maybe I could find it. Hang on, maybe I could find it over here. No. Oh yeah, here it is. Burkina Faso. That's it. He would. I was reading about Burkina Faso. Well, you guys can't see it. It's on another browser. But yeah. Yeah. Dr. Onion Terabin has a great interview about women's nature on the YouTube channel Soft White Underbelly. You ought to do a stream on it. He revealed some data I never thought of. Okay. Well, that Soft White Underbelly, I remember he was giving that one hooker some money, and I called it before it even got to that point. Like she was like them kids, the hooker had kids, and she's supposed to spend the money on her kids, and she, like I predicted she wouldn't. She spent all the money on looking cute to get fucked by another man. But yeah, what is this software about women's nature? Yeah, like here's the thing. Like women's nature is there's nothing very admirable about. The only thing that gets women through the door is that like they just look fuckable. Like once you strip out just looking fuckable, there's nothing else really there for the vast majority of women to keep them, you know, in any recognizable standing. Like and here's like I hate to say it because it's fucked up, but it's the truth. If you like, it's the reality. If you take out like if everybody had to be blindfolded and just literally communicate through text messaging, like women would just die out. Like if everybody just closed their eyes, didn't touch anything, and we just blindfolded, and we just went through like type the text or some shit like that, and just communicated, women would just die the fuck out. Like they have no communication skills, they're not very efficient at many things. Like they would just die out. It's just, but what keeps them recognized is you want to fuck them. Like that's literally it. If it wasn't for that, and maybe get a little lonely sometimes. If it wasn't for those two things, dude, like the vast majority of women just would not make it. Like, I mean, like, the only reason why the ones you don't want to fuck make it is because there's a chance they might get you around someone you might actually want to fuck. Like, that's literally it. And it's fucked up to say it. It's fucked up, but there's no lie in it. Like, there's just no lie. There's no lie. Dr. Terabin, is the guy you're. Oh, this is the guy, Dr. What's his name? Terabin. Okay. Yeah, like there's seriously very little evidence since the beginning of mankind of like outside of anything that has to do with sex. Like, what is there really a purpose for women? Like. What is there a purpose really for? It's fucked up. What is it, honest? I mean, there's no explanation. The only explanation is, well, your nose is big. That's the only explanation. I'll tell you what, let's start on this video.
I'm Dr. Orion Taraban, and this is PsycHacks, Better Living Through Psychology. And the topic of today's short talk is girl math. So in this episode, I'm going to discuss how women are subject to making emotional decisions about economic realities using a concrete, anonymized example from a recent consultation. Now, the point of this discussion is not to make fun of or put down this particular person, because the fact of the matter is, this person is emblematic of an issue that is very prevalent among the women that I consult and in society in general. So she's being used here because she exemplifies a larger phenomenon, not because she is some strange outlier.
Okay, real quick, I'm just gonna give my immediate prediction. Right, I'm gonna give my immediate prediction because he said women, they make emotional decisions, blah blah blah. Okay, now look, okay, I haven't seen this video at all. I'm just gonna first start off with my initial theory. The reason why women were always allowed to be emotional, see, because anything, okay, biologically speaking, anything can be beaten out of you or beaten into you, right? Over, years, 10, 20, 100, 1,000 years of a species of animal, whatever the fuck, right? Anything can be beaten into you or beaten out of you over time. Right. And see, this is the part that modern feminists or just modern Western women, like, they try to just ignore, is that, like, look, none of it, like there's a reason why there's gender norms. It's because a woman's position was always in the weaker side of things, hoping men build shit. Right. So okay, back to the emotion. He says how emotions, women make irrational emotions, right? See, the reason, okay, what I'll say is the reason why women will always be in this mode, like they literally can't grow out of it, is because since the beginning of time, everybody always knew woman was weaker. See, it's just now everybody tries to, like, dance around it and not say it, and this is extremely recent. I say over the last 10 years. Before the last 10 years, it was just open. Everybody said, yeah, women are weaker, they're softer, they're slower, they can't do anything day in and day out as efficient as a man can. These things were common speak 10, 15 years ago. Nowadays, everybody's trying to say, well, yes, she can. And this is a recent thing, right? But throughout human history, woman was always only really needed because she was cute, and or you wanted to fuck her then or fuck her when she got older, right? Because she can have babies and and recreate shit like that, right? So in that development, right, since woman never really had to manage real responsibilities in terms of genuine survival, right? Woman on a whole, as a gender, historically speaking, never really had to manage survival. Okay, from woman's perspective, managing survival is waiting to see what man built and then go hop on that. That is woman managing survival. See, man managing survival is, okay, how do I build that and make it self-sufficient so we can all survive off of it? In the reality of it, to woman, man is God to woman. And I mean, some people may not like that analogy, but this is just the direct truth. Man to woman, okay, and here's the order that it works in. To the child, mommy is God and everything. Mommy is the giver, mommy is the creator, mommy is the developer to the baby, right? And to mommy, man is the God, the developer, the creator, the innovator to make her life easier. That's the hierarchy of how it goes. It goes child, mother, father, right? But it's, from a child's perspective, child sees child, daddy, and then mommy kind of thing, because this is just how, because they're kids, they don't know, right? But back to the emotion part of it. women never really had. I'm gonna read that off in a second. Thanks. I don't want to lose my train of thought. But women never really had to learn how to truly manage. So mentally, they have always been historically stunted. Right. They're intellectually stunted because they were allowed to be emotional. They were allowed to flip through emotions because they weren't actually protecting anything. Right? They didn't have the woman wasn't sitting up worried about a fucking hyena coming in or some shit like that. Right? Woman was worried about, well, can Joe fight off the hyena? And if Joe can't, I'll go find another man who can. See, throughout human history, woman has never had this truly sit down and manage her own survival as a gender. Right? Because if worse comes to worse, she'll just suck a cock to manage her survival, to go find a man to manage her survival. If worse comes, it's every woman's backup plan. Now, I'm not saying every woman will do it, as easily. Some women, they tap out real quick. Some of them got to be beat down a little bit. But every woman knows that's her ultimate backup plan. They have free food, free bed, a car. She's got to start sucking some cocks. And it's a matter of time, right? She knows it. Every woman knows this. Right. So the fact that this irrational emotional decisions, this is because women have historically always been children mentally. They just physically grow to become, physical adults. See, the reason why men don't make decisions like that. The reason why men don't make decisions like that is because if a man walked around like a woman, he'd be eaten alive. He'd be beaten or eaten alive. See, and you ever notice how dogs don't do that shit? Female species in other, other female species of animals and shit, they don't act like that. Like human woman, like animals and shit. I mean, there are some similarities, but when it comes to managing shit, when it comes to managing survival, yes, the hierarchy is still there, but see, since they're not using, lions and tigers, they're not using words, they just got there's no manipulation going on. You don't see female lions talking about feminism and we want to go hunting just like the male lions do. No. We want to protect our pride land just like the male lions. No, them bitches will roll off and go suck the dick of another lion real quick. Ain't playing that. Let me read this. Bruce Lee, glad to catch a stream today. Did you ever get my email on the request of Ben Shapiro's video on encouraging marriage? No, I didn't see it, man. I don't remember seeing it. I've been busy his last couple of weeks, so you may have sent it, and I just skipped over. Send it to me. Send it to me now, if you're still watching, because I have been busy these last couple of weeks. But yeah, I don't see. I've been talking to the VA a lot. Here's one I wanted to open too. But yeah, so let's go into this before I keep talking too much. No, I tell you what, send me the email right now if you remember what it is, where it is. Somebody send it to me because I've been so busy I just can't. I'm pretty sure I didn't see it because I would have remembered Ben Shapiro or whatever the guy's name is. Yeah, I remember. I just didn't see it.
That deserves any particular scorn or mockery. So here's the situation. A few months ago, I did a consultation with a 35-year-old woman who told me that she wanted to get married and have children as quickly as possible. She also told me that she just ended a 4-year relationship and that she hadn't yet re-entered the dating scene. And I responded, okay, well, that relationship is probably your best bet of getting married and having kids in the immediate future. And it might still be possible to warm that one back up. Can you tell me a little bit about what the issue was? Why did you decide to end the relationship? It turns out that she was living in his apartment. He took care of the rent and the utilities and the food and who knows what else. And in return, he apparently expected her to perform some low-value labor. Her her words. And I asked, what does that mean, low value labor? And she told me that he wanted her to do half his laundry, which, to be fair, is kind of a strange request, half his laundry. But maybe she balked at doing all his laundry, and he was trying to get some skin in the game. In any case, the woman...
My man is See, this woman's a piece of fucking shit. Just throw her in the fucking trash, dude. Like, I mean, well, he consulted her, but it's laundry. This bitch had a problem with doing laundry. Okay, maybe there's more to the story, but it's laundry. You pick up some dirty color clothes, you put in the fucking water, the dirty whites or colors, whatever the fuck. You put in the washer, you turn on for a fucking hour. It's not rocket science. Look, if that woman has that much of an issue with just throwing some clothes in the fucking washing machine, that woman is fucking garbage. Period. Fucking period. If she can't figure that out, trust me, you don't want her. If a woman has, especially if she's hit the age of 35, and she had an issue with, and he's paying all the rent on, she's fucking garbage, man. Get this fucking. I would just hung up the phone. I've just grown to the point. I just have no more patience. I just hung up the phone. Like, no.
Woman was apparently adamantly...
I don't even want the money. Just keep the money. I just don't want to. Just keep the money. I'm done. I'm just not talking to her. Just hang up the phone.
Opposed to doing this man's laundry, the issue came to a head, and the woman decided to end the relationship and move out of his apartment. So I wanted to talk about this a little bit. First and foremost, as I discussed in the episode, the trap...
Okay. Now, real quick, also I add to this. See, since this motherfucker went off and paid all the rent and utilities, see, that woman thought that she was getting older, and she found a simp, right? So since she had walked in on that, okay, if you were to walk in, okay, Bruce Lee, let me say email sent. I got it right here. I got it. 7:40 p.m. Okay. Wait, where am I at? Oh, shit. I gotta click off this. Let me go get. Okay, so it's two of them. So let's do the top one first. Copy.
People aren't getting married.
Okay, so that's what I was saying. Okay, thanks for the donation, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for the $10. Thanks a lot, man. So if you're paying the rent, and if you're paying all the rent, and if you're paying for the vast majority of everything, right? Here's how, okay, because some guys don't have a problem with doing that. It makes some guys feel better about the relationship, whatever. Okay, cool, whatever. It doesn't matter. What I would tell you is this. Whether if you were paying for all the bills or paying half or however much you were paying, right? If that woman does not take it upon herself to at least try to do something or ask you, what can I do, or something like that, she knows exactly what she's doing. She knows she's in there taking advantage of a simp at that point. If she doesn't come to you, okay, with the girl he's talking about, when she moved into that flat, she moved in under the context of, I found a simp that's gonna pay for my entire life. So he's a fucking chump, right? And then guess what? The simp fucked around and stood up for himself and asked her to do something, and that doesn't fall in line with hussies. Hussies don't respect that. Hussies don't, they're not going to respect that from that guy, right? She's going to walk all over him. She ended the relationship, and all that. But now she's 35, and then she's aging out of it. Like I said, if you're with a woman, right, and she's not making some type of effort, some type of effort. Because most women are just pathetic, right? They're gonna make like horrible efforts whenever they do try. But 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 if she, especially if you paying for everything, and she is not coming up with an ounce of effort to do it, yeah, she's clocked you as a complete simp. She's clocked you as a simp. Completely.
Of the high value woman, you can't only do the high value stuff. You can't just be the personal confidant or the business partner
What's
or
up,
the
Jim?
passionate soulmate all the time. That's like expecting a job to be 100% what you want to do and 0% what you don't want. Obviously, we want our jobs and our relationships to be mostly what we want to do, but no one can get 100%. That's just unrealistic. But the point I really want to make here is, was that actually low value labor? Let's consider some rough calculations.
Okay, it was low value to her because she walked in as the prize, right? Okay. So for example, let's say if like Elon Musk had asked her to do it, it wouldn't be like okay for like some regular old 35-year-old pussy. She wouldn't see that as low value work, right? But the fact that it was like just a regular working dude who was paying for everything, he asked her to do that, right? And he's living in an apartment, and because women, they think differently than men who live in an apartment. So, depending on the whole context of it, they'll think higher of a man who has his own house, shit like that, right? To that woman, she thought she was the prize, so she, in her mind, that's beneath her to do it for that man, that the man she was with.
Shall we? This woman moved out of that guy's apartment and got her own one bedroom, which in San Francisco costs around $3,000 a month. She is now responsible for that entire rent herself, plus utilities and food. I asked her how much she made, and she told me that after taxes, she takes home $75,000 a year. Now, that might sound like a lot to some of the listeners out there, but
75. Okay, if she's paying $3,000 a month for rent, $75,000 after taxes, I would say she's probably got an extra $1,000 a month after paying rent every month, maybe. I say was it 75? Yeah, if she's making 75,000 a year after taxes, she's probably bringing home, I would say on the high end, $5,000-$6,000.
Is not a lot for San Francisco. We would call that Bay Area poor.
Yeah.
Why? Because those three things alone, rent, utilities, food, are going to put her back somewhere to the tune of $5,000 a month.
Yeah, that's what I said.
5,000 times 12 is $60,000. That means that after taxes, this woman enjoys a discretionary income of $15,000 a year. I'll return to the full significance of this number in a minute. But first, let's talk about laundry. Now, laundry is actually the easiest of all the domestic chores because technology. You move the clothes from the hamper to the machine and push a button. An hour later, you move the clothes to the other machine and push a different button. Most of the actual labor involves folding the clothes and putting them away. Given the low maintenance care of most guys' clothes, however, a load of male laundry can demand 15 minutes of actual effort max. Now, this woman's ex-boyfriend wanted her to do every other load of laundry, which would probably amount to 2 loads a month. At 15 minutes per load, that's 30 minutes of actual labor per month. And because she wasn't willing to do those 30 minutes of labor, she now has to pay $60,000 a year to cover the various expenses associated with living alone.
Yeah. And because from her perspective, see, this is why I tell my spouse, and this is why I tell everybody I know. See, women, they grow up their entire lives thinking that they're going to be 26 forever, 23, 26 forever, and they fuck around, end up being 35, and end up back in that dating market again. See, what this woman did was she got with a man, and he was probably a great dude because, like I said, he paid for all the bills. I'm sure he probably didn't have some shitty flat. He probably had a nice little spot and paid for everything and asked his bitch to throw 3 pair of pants in the laundry. In the washing machine. She said, I don't do that for no simps. I'll go find if I'm going to do it, I'm going to find a real man to do it for. And she moved out, right? In hopes that she probably moved to a more expensive area in hopes that she would lasso in some man out there as her last ditch effort at 35 to not fail in life as woman and actually develop a family.
Okay. So what this means is that laundry was not a low value activity. Given the economics in play, this guy was actually offering to pay this woman $10,000 an hour to do laundry. Remember, she was saving $5,000 a month by having him subsidize her living expenses, and all he requested was 30 minutes of actual work a month in return. 30 minutes at 5,000 is 1 hour at 10,000. Now, before I go any further, if you're liking what you're hearing, please consider sending this episode to someone who might benefit from its message, because it's word of mouth referrals like this that really help to make the channel grow. You can also hit the thanks button and tip me in proportion to the value you feel you derived from this episode, because I depend on your support to make all this happen. I really appreciate it. I will also soon be starting a weekly newsletter, so if you want to opt in, you can do so on my website. Finally, if you're thinking of going to grad school, you need to check out my top-rated GRE study program at stellargre.com. Okay? Let's get back to it. So I'm not sure if this woman really thought this through. I tried to explain to her that if you're being paid $10,000 an hour to do laundry, you cannot possibly consider laundry to be a low-value activity. If that's all that you did, you would earn your entire take-home annual salary in less than a business day. However, she seemed committed to the idea that she should be able to find a man who would provide as much or more and expect less in return.
Yeah.
And this segues into the second point I want to make. Let's take a look at this woman's situation more generally. She's working a job with a take-home pay of $75,000 a year. It's not really an important job. It's not a job that anybody would miss if it disappeared from existence today.
Of course.
And by her own admission, it's not a job that gives her deep meaning or abiding satisfaction. However, she told me that she wouldn't give it up to be a housewife. So I said, okay, let's do a little more math. As previously mentioned, San Francisco is a very expensive market. After taxes and expenses associated with the minimum standard of urban survival, she was left with a discretionary income of about $15,000 a year, or about $40 a day. Now, $40 a day is not something you can easily break out of. Like, you're never going to buy a house if you're earning $40 a day. Your car needing new brakes is going to wipe out 2 weeks of discretionary income. God forbid you get hurt or you get laid off. The margins here are so small that life would indefinitely have to go perfectly in order to feel like you were making any profit at all. It also means that this woman was working a full-time job in order to earn enough to continue to afford to work a full-time job.
No, and I think he knows where this is headed. Like, no, she moved out with the entire intention of trying to find a man who earned more that would take care of her like the dude before and not ask her to do anything, preferably. There was no intention for that woman to. There is no intention for any woman to go out in the world and just work and live by herself. Right, unless she's got some vengeance against the world kind of thing. Like, any natural, healthy woman wants to be taken care of by a man.
If most of your income is spent just so that you can earn your income, you've got a real problem on your hands. Like, this is not an enviable position to be in, and it certainly shouldn't be someone's professional goal. However, I know many, many women in their 30s who end up in just such a predicament.
Yeah.
My point is that things aren't always what they seem. That low-value chore was actually netting her $60,000 a year in comparable goods, whereas her career was earning her $5 an hour in functional profit.
Yeah.
Her ex-boyfriend could have paid her $41 a day to take care of the apartment, and she would have been better off financially than living alone and working a full-time job.
But she's subservient. She would end up being subservient to a simp. That was the whole dilemma. She was subservient to a simp who was not like a wealthy simp. I mean, like, because there's women, okay, sometimes it's like no matter how much money you got, some women just can't get with a complete simp chump. kind of thing. But this is an area where like money doesn't, it's like a swagger would mean more. Like your swagger and how you deal with them means more than the money. Even though money does, it is important. But okay, like again, like see, this man that she was with did not have the right swagger. Paid for everything and let the bitch sit at home all day and eat nachos. She had free rent, everything, and had to pay for shit. She didn't want it because he's a chump. Okay, okay. If the man had never asked her to do anything, she would have stayed. But she could not be subservient to somebody she thinks she's better than. Here's it: every single woman does this shit. Women are horrible. Every single woman does shit like this. When it comes to being judgmental, shallow, women are immensely worse than men. No comparison. No comparison. When a woman walks in the room, I told my girl a few days ago, I told her that I tell other people, women, if you want to think, if you want to see how attractive a woman thinks that she is, look at her friends group on like Facebook or Instagram or in real life, right? Women do not like a 3 out of 10 woman cannot hang out with a 9 out of 10 woman. Those women don't, they have nothing in common, right? An 8 out of 10 woman does not hang out with a 5 with a 5. They segregate amongst themselves on what they think men are gonna like and if they think they're cuter or not, right? The only difference is some women learn to they've kind of watched men, they learn how to mimic things like character, but most of them don't even get that far. They just learn how to just smile and shut the fuck up to get through a hard situation. And for the most part, it works for many women. Just go, that usually works for a large percentage of women. They don't have to even say anything.
She also wouldn't have had to work 8 hours a day to do this. So she would have had far more time on her hands to go to the gym or catch up with her friends or volunteer at the animal shelter or start her own business or any of the 10,000 things that people would rather be doing than working a fucking job. However, this woman was so deeply indoctrinated with the idea that providing domestic service to a man was shameful, insulting, and beneath her dignity that she was willing to become a wage slave to avoid it. I see it all the time.
Okay, and just to be clear, a temporary wage slave. Okay, because again, just to be clear for anybody who's listened to this part specifically. Okay, to be clear, woman does not choose to be a wage slave eternally. Now, she doesn't choose that route, right? Okay, she chose to be a wage slave. And the chances, okay, she was going to suck her boss's dick wherever she worked at. She was going to try to catch men around the neighborhood, the guy who has a nice car, and just happened to be outside when he be outside kind of thing. Or get to hanging out with women who go to the richer part of town and go hang out. That was the woman's entire game. So like, yeah, I'm not saying he's wrong, but I just want to make it clear. Yeah, she chose to be a wage slave, but that wage slave was the opening door into her thinking she could do better. Right, because she could have went back home and live with her parents. She could have live with her parents, brother, grandparents, some shit like that. Right, she could have went off and did that. Right, but she chose to go off into the end because again, if she goes at a workforce, well, she's gonna have a boss, and the boss gonna make more money than her, so he's on the list. Right, and the boss might have some friends, and they gonna be on the list. She's gonna be on the prowl looking for a new protector. Right.
Women need to take a good, hard look at the economic consequences of their decisions. There's the woman who broke up with her boyfriend because he didn't want to split the childcare with her if they had kids. She didn't think that was fair. So she went off and got pregnant by herself. And now she does all the childcare by herself, but without a partner's material and emotional support. Or there's the woman who broke up with her boyfriend because he wanted to split the bills 70-30. That wasn't good enough for her. So now instead of paying 30%, she pays 100%.
Yeah.
Or there's the woman that broke up with a loving long-term boyfriend because he wouldn't be sexually
let me tell you, the only reason why women do these things, is because she never respected that man from the fucking beginning. The only reason women be on this whole you got to pay for you have to pay for everything and all this shit like that, and it is because she never she. I mean, I get like gender laws of like it's seen more highly if the guy pays for like the first date or something like that. I'm not like bashing that part of it, but if you're like actively with somebody and the man is just always paying and the woman never ever offers to chip in to throw anything in like that, she was using you the whole fucking time, dude. She was looking to you as a financial way out until she can get to a man she wanted. Because again, like I always said in my older videos, see, I bet you Pookie and Ray Ray didn't have to pay for food when they went out. I bet you Chad and Tyrone didn't have to pay. I bet she was probably paying for their Uber, right? I remember when I was in Argentina and I fucked that one Asian girl. We did the cocaine together. She paid for my cab out there, and then it was alcohol sitting on the table when I got in there in a stripper pole. Like as soon as you walk in, I ain't paid for shit, right? When the girl I was talking about last time on the live stream, when she would come down, I remember one time I was talking to her on the phone, and her daughter was like, "Oh, can Wendell pay for us to do something?" And my friend, she just starts laughing. She goes, "No, Wendell doesn't do that." Like another guy does that, right? They come down here, we go out to eat and go eat ribs. They pay for it, right? Well, I got ribs. I can't remember what the fuck they got, right? And guess where the money will? Okay, for every woman who's doing shit like this, she's taking that money from that man. Guess where her money's going? To look cute and get fucked by another man. That's where it's going. So if you paying the rent, you paying the mortgage, you paying all the bills and all that shit like that, where do you think her money's going? It's going to another man. That's where it's going. Either through her nails, her hair, or her clothes, her dress, or the Uber rides while she's sneaking off with him in a hotel room and paying for that shit. That's where the money's going. If you paying for everything in the relationship, that money is being given to whatever man she wants. Fucking period. There's no exception to the rule on that. There's no exception to the rule on that. Because that's where she's gonna spend it. Okay, if you guys are living together, that's where she's gonna spend. Now, if you guys aren't living together, then it's a little more complicated, because both sides got rent, they own bills like that. So it could be. But if you two are living together and you're paying for everything, oh, she's taking that money and giving it to another man. Let me just take a bathroom break and grab some beer, man. I'll be right back. I'm gonna take a bathroom break. I'll be right back. I'm just gonna go pee and I'm gonna go use the bathroom and get a beer, and I'll be right back. All right, I'm gonna grab the beer. Be right back. It's not much left. It tastes awful. I see why people don't drink it now. I think my taste buds have adjusted to beer. Now I can actually taste it. But yeah, let's continue.
Exclusive. She thought that she should be enough for him. And now she's back in the dating market where none of the men are sexually exclusive to her and none of them are emotionally invested in her either. Do you understand? Ladies, don't cut off your nose despite your face. Think things through, because most of you are in a position to get what you want as long as you don't fuck things up. What do you think? Does this fit with your own experience? Let me know in the comments below. And if you've gotten this far, you might as well like this episode and subscribe to this channel. You may also consider becoming a channel member with perks like the priority review of comments or booking a paid consultation. As always, thank you for listening.
Yeah, don't fuck things. Well, it's women. Like, look, I'm at the point again where it's like I just don't think women should be making their own decisions. Like they're gonna make horrible decisions. But now the difference is with humans we use words, whereas animals don't use words, so they don't fuck up anywhere near as bad. 35 years old. She's 35 years old. Dumped her boyfriend because he asked her to do some laundry. Not even all of it, just like a little bit. And then went to go work a job where she's like scrounging around at the end of the month, every month. Probably to open up an OnlyFans because that's a guarantee. And she'll get a little some money off of that because she thinks she's too good for him. But again, to women, right? To woman, she in woman math, like this, girl math. It makes sense from a woman, from an entitled, spoiled piece of shit perspective. It makes total sense, right? She thinks she's better than him. So the second he asked her to do one thing, she threw away the entire relationship and ran off and got a job and a whole flat. You know how long it takes to get a job and a whole flat in North America? You got to go through checks and all types of shit to do. And she wasn't in a poor area on top of that. That's not like a 2-day thing. That's like a month. This bitch sat down for a month and thought that shit through when she signed the lease. Like, yep. Read on, this is good paperwork you have here. And signed through that shit. And she's 35. Failure. That's all. Now here's the thing. Now the guy who she dumped, see, she'll live the rest of her life out. In a form of solace because not solace is a bad word. Now this 35-year-old reject of a woman, she'll live the rest of her life out in some form of comfort over the petty fact that she was the one who ended it. And she'll tell everybody that she was the one who ended it. Just like a 14-year-old child would. Because she was the one. He didn't end it. She ended it. Right? Now, the reality is like 30, 35, that's when men start to develop. And that's when women just go down. And this is a conversation I had last night with a friend of mine, with him and his wife and his ex-wife. I think they split up. And I was telling my girl this morning, I told her, like, this is just the path we take. And it's the same story every time. But the most of the time. There's slight variations to it. But the core problems are always, you know how many case studies I read? Like on a weekly basis. It's pretty much mostly always the same shit. The woman's issue in life, the woman's ultimate issue is struggling with getting older, getting fatter, being less attractive. And the man's main issue is in not having enough money to give the woman the life that he wants to give her. It's always the same thing. It's all 95, and I'm sure this guy would agree with me because he works in the same field. He actually has more education than I do, like in that direct field. He has more education than I do. And I'm sure if you were to ask me straight up, he would agree with me 1,000%. It's always 90 to 95% of the time. There's some few cases that kind of get like, that are, what's the word I'm looking for? Anomaly cases. But for the most part, it's the same thing. Though if it's not one, it's both of them. Usually it's one of the two or both combined. Either the woman's like deep down, she's mad because she's aging, she's getting older, and she's getting fatter, or her skin's wrinkling up, and she can't get away with the typical bullshit that she can get away with the entire time before in her life. So she's hitting a midlife crisis, and the man is usually down because he lost his job, or he's not, or he got a pay cut and he can't afford shit. And that's what'll drive men to unalive themselves, right? Women, it's their desirability. Men, it's their ability to provide. It's always the same shit. Always the same. Same thing happened with and here's the next level as to how deep it always goes is more times than not. It's the same story. I hear it so many times. The woman, okay, and I told my girl this morning. I was literally this morning we were talking about this. What happens is it's in woman's nature to be a fuck up. Like, she can't help it. It's woman's nature to be a fuck up. Because what is woman gonna want? She's gonna want a man who's better than her, that can provide more for her, and just be better than than the other men in her in her potential, right? Woman is gonna want a man who's better, right? And so what does woman do? She'll keep sucking cocks at guys who she thinks is better than her. Because the last thing she wants is a man on her level. That's gross. She wants a man better. I remember one time I told her, she got mad at me for bringing this up. As I was talking about her mama. Because her mama, she's a pretty woman, but she's a cunt in the world, right? And and I said, okay, do you think a 30-year-old man would want a woman? Okay, no, I asked her, I said, do you think that your mother? Wait, how did I phrase? I said, yeah. Do you think that a man would want a woman like your mother? Or would she? Oh, no. How I phrased it was, do you think, okay, would your mother want a man who was in the same position as her in life? That's how I phrased it. And then she thought about it and was like, oh, it's because she got mad because she knew where I was going with it. Because I'm better than my spouse, right? It's how it works out, right? Her mother would not date a man. Her mother would look at a man in her exact position and be like, ew. Now you can't. Now on the flip side, men, we don't care about that shit. Ultimately, we really don't. We just want somebody to sit down, hang out, hang around, be around with, be cool with. That's all we care about. We don't care about houses or money like that. I mean, at some level, probably a little bit, but for the most part, we don't care. But women are horribly judgmental, right? So step one, woman wants the guy to be better, right? But again, woman's nature is that whatever she touches intentionally, like, she's going to break it and fuck it up, right? So just give it time. So the next step is she gets with a guy who's better than her, and at first she admires him. She loves him for being better because she's like, wow, he's so fucking awesome. He did this and this and this and this. Yeah, he did. I didn't even think we can do that. And he went out and figured it out. Yeah. And then slowly over time, she starts to get a little more envious, right? Because you're better than her. And she can't even begin to catch up with you because you, as a man, you are better than her. And it slowly turns into self-hatred, being miserable about her own self, and then she slowly starts to take it out on you because she's realized her actual position. It takes time, but every time it gets to this level, for one reason or another. Either it was while you two were still young and you were just that much better than her, or give it time and she will have aged and she got wrinkly or older or fatter and started feeling, insecure, and she'll get miserable and she'll start to take it out on you every time. And it makes it just puts so much strain on the relationship because at that point, most guys are tired of most men in the relationship, they're going to be tired of fucking her. They don't want to fuck her anymore. Right? So now so then that adds to the woman's perspective. Like, oh, I'm getting older. I'm not as good as him. And he doesn't want to have sex with me as often. Oh, I'm so mad. I'm going to be taking out on him. And now she's taking out on you. You already getting tired of fucking the bitch, which, maybe you've got kids with her or whatever the fuck. It's like, whatever. Just keep her alone. Try to keep her quiet. She's getting more mad, which is making it more awkward. And sooner or later, that's how you break up. So she might take it out on trying to make you buy more shit or come up with these little nitpicky fights, whatever the fuck. She'll take it out in her own way, but she'll take it out on you. It's a woman's nature to be a fuck up. She can't help it. She can't help it. She can't help it. She's not happy until she fucks something up. And the same thing happened with him. The same thing happened with me and pretty much any girlfriend I had. Any girlfriend. Now, but here's the weird part with me and a friend of mine is that she actually has the same education I do. So we've read the same books, case studies. And here's the part that was really intriguing to me. And this is why I brought it up to Esmeralda, Lisa, whatever you want to call her. The reason why I brought it up to her is I found it even more intriguing, if that's the right word to use. Interesting that she's read these case studies. She's worked in the same field that I work. She works in the same field that I work in, and she still fell for it. How does someone who knows where this road goes, like, you see what I'm saying? Like, that's the deeper sense of woman's, like, woman cannot fight her own nature in being a fuck up. Because much deeper down, every woman thinks that she's the main character of a movie, and everybody else is a supporting actor and actress. And they never grow out of it, dude. They never grow out of it. Because I remember when I met her. First, I tried to say, look, you should do this. You should work in telehealth back in America because, motherfuckers, Americans glorify Europe. So she would make bank. She's not a bad looking woman either. Just sell yourself as European, therapist, and she rake in money from Americans with that. She didn't want to do it. And it's just that thing. Like, the other common area is see, guys, we try to build the woman up. We try to say, hey, look, you should do this and this and this and this and this. It'd be so easy, blah, 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 blah. You should do this. And she doesn't do it, right? And the weird part is like, the woman entitlement is a very dangerous monster. The female, just the natural woman's nature of just feeling entitled that she deserves the world just because she's so awesome, type of shit, is very deep. It's very deep. So back to the concept of woman wants a better man, right? Woman wants any man who's better than her. Now, another reason why a woman wants a man better than her is because deep down, every woman, Melania Trump herself, she secretly believes to herself that if she hangs around Donald Trump long enough, she'll become like Donald Trump. Right? Now, another area where that anger and being miserable comes out is over time of Melania hanging out with Donald Trump. At some point, she finally comes to the conclusion that in order to become, let's say, like Donald Trump, as an example, she would actually have to work with some type of form of thought to keep up and, with his culture of people and shit like that, right? And the last thing any woman wants to do is work, right? That's the last thing they want to do is because that's character, and women hate taking on personal character outside of her own awesomeness, right? So she gets angry. She gets mad because, that's what me and my ex-wife did. That's what my other girlfriends did. Because here's the thing, I've always been in good shape. I've always been in okay shape. Let's see if I still got a six-pack. I don't know, because I haven't worked out. But at the drop of a hat, yes, I do still have a six-pack. There we go, right there, right? I've always been in good shape. So whenever I get a girlfriend, right, it would eventually come out. I could just feel it that the only reason, a big reason why they were with me, because they would see that and they thought that they would just kind of get it automatically by hanging out with me, kind of thing. You know what I mean? And then when it finally becomes clear, it doesn't work like that. Like with Jay-Z with the loan, you know what I mean? Nah, homie, it don't work like that. It doesn't work. Like, just because you hanging out with me don't mean you ain't got to put in any kind of work in and you just end up with a six-pack, right? It don't work. You got to come up with your own culture of thinking, mentality to develop in whatever way you develop in, right? And I still remember my ex-wife, she was looking in the mirror, holding her, because she got chubby. She was a good-looking woman, but she would just wear horrible fitting clothes. But I remember she was like grabbing her stomach, like grabbing like a little bit of fat, and she was looking at it sad in the mirror, kind of thing. She wasn't fat at all. She just dressed horribly, but she was chubby, right? She was. I think she looked like a porn star when she dressed right. Um, but yeah, it's always that. It's always that. She like woman wants a man who she thinks is better than her. Melania also knows that she cannot get better at her older age, so she chooses to stay for the benefits. Yeah, the warrior. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Melania, the dumbest thing Melania Trump could do is to leave Donald Trump. That would be. I don't care. I don't care if the court awarded Melania Trump with every dime of his money, and then every dime of his assets and money and resources, and then made him pay child support, or made him pay alimony. The worst thing, because Melania don't, she that's not her world. She's just the hussy who ended up there. You see what I'm saying? Okay, the equivalent would be like, let's say, like, because my dad, he's a retired auto mechanic, and we talk about this because I don't know anything. I mean, I have a slight understanding about cars, but there's no way I could be. I'm a mechanic, right? It would be like me. It would be like if my dad had his own auto shop, and I sued my dad and took his auto shop. I don't know what the fuck to do with this auto shop. I don't, you know what I mean? Give it a year and it's gonna be gone, right? Because it's not my culture. It's not my world, right? Now, education, I can manage that if I were to take over like classes and shit like that, because that's more in line with my world. But like, okay, I know how to crawl into the car, and I know a bit of what I'm looking at. I've been involved in replacing shit, but that's not my world. I'm not, so dense to think that I could run my own auto shop, or I could, even run my own auto garage. Absolutely not. It's not my world. But women do. A woman will walk up in that auto shop, like, yep, I can run it. Yes. Yes. How much is it worth? 3 million? I can run it. Yes. A woman would do that. I know. Look. It's not my world. I said the education world. I can do that, but no. Ben Shapiro's a raging idiot. The only thing I don't know much about the guy. I just remember like that. Oh, hang on. I missed the first donation. So first, 13 minutes ago, Stefan, thanks Stefan for the $1. Says, AD, I miss you like a hog misses slop, like a baby mama like a baby misses mommy titty. Why does my phone keep? I thought I said I don't do not disturb because I don't want it beeping. Okay, I miss you like I miss a rock in my shoe. Now I ask, who's this on the neck? Did you actually spell the word out and it put the asterisk there? Did you actually spell out the N word? I'm genuinely curious if you actually put if Streamlabs did that, or did you do that? AD, you said that your baby mama just happened to get pregnant. She was manipulating you. You got tricked by your own baby mama. Well, here's the thing. So with that situation, well, yeah. Either way that goes, like that, there was no real loss in that for me. Just be like completely transparent about it. Like there was no real loss in that for me because, okay, now that I have a son in Europe, I can always come back to Europe, and I always can do, like I always have a way into another country. So I'm not like locked into, let's say, I'm from Ohio, so I'm not like locked into like North America anymore. Like I can just, catch a quick plane and go to a whole other country, not have to worry about like the credit score or anything like that, and just be here. Right? I don't have like, so either way, like, and then on top of that, like child support. Everybody I speak to about child support here, like you don't spend any more than like $200 a month on child support. So it's like nothing at all, man. Like, so like for me, like that, it was a win-win either way. Cause she okay. It was a win-win because also up to like I think I manage her well. Now you never know how people can turn out later, so I'm not gonna act like I'm perfect in it because things could fuck up next week. I don't know, but up to now, I think I've managed her well to the point where there's a good sense of ground. But people are people. You never know what she might turn into. But yeah, he said I got tricked. But yeah, the only thing that Ben Shapiro, because like he had there was a dude on Facebook who wrote some racist shit, like it's racist shit, and the only thing I don't know much about the Ben Shapiro guy at all, um, but he brought up the argument how African Americans commit the most crimes and all that, and I just always find it funny how like especially people who look like him, like they love to bring up that fact, but if you want to go back any more deeper in history, it all gets real quiet real fast, right? But if you talk about like like European history and how they were beaten up by the Barbary pirates, and it's like oh yeah, you read a whole 30,000 page essay on it. And that's the only part that but I don't know the Ben Shapiro guy at all. But it was the way he said it was like he couldn't wait to explode that hardcore fact on people to like what I mean, like that type of shit. But let's hear him out on this. This is why you should get married young. Let's hear this out.
Married at an age where they actually are able to grow up with one another because your wife shapes you and you shape her, and that makes you both better people. You know, when I married my wife, I just turned 24 and she was 20, and we've spent our lives growing up together. Right? I mean, now I'm 38 and she's 35, and that's a long time to spend. I mean, half her life, basically we've spent together, and that means that you grow and you change and you have experiences, and then you bring kids into the world, and that radically changes you even more than just the marriage did. And when Jordan says that if you're 40 and single, you're blowing it, he is cutting directly against the grain of all current conventional wisdom, which is the best thing that you could do is delay marriage until you make associate at the law firm working 2,200 hours. My dad used to make a point about this. He used to say, people would ask him about when to get married. And he said, well, or how to find the right person. And what he always said is you have to make the decision to get married before you find the right person. Because if you didn't make the decision that you wanted to get married, then the right person could come along and you could just pull them out of the water. You actually have to make we live in a society where we sort of decide the opposite. It's like, oh, I'll fall in love with the person, and then we'll have sex, and then maybe like 4 years down the road we'll get married. We completely reversed the polarity and the order of events. Look at the sitcoms from the 90s versus the sitcoms from the 60s, right? In the 60s it was, you fall in love, you get married, you have sex. Now it's, you have sex, and then it's really hard for you to say if you fell in love with the person, right? That's like the big move in a sitcom now is, did you fall in love? And then you never get married. The fact that my wife can still look at me as the person who, was 23 and just out of law school, and she can say, I see through all this crap, right? Like, none of this makes a bit of difference to me, right? The person who you are is not the person who the rest of the world sees. It's the person who I've known since long before you were that.
Okay, real quick before I lose my thought on this. When it comes to why you should get married and all this shit like that, man. I am for arranged marriages. In a sense, in a way. I'm not going to say I'm completely for, because I'm sure there's horror stories there too. But when it comes to something like, okay, and I'm going to touch on some deeper, brutal truths that I'm sure he would never talk about because he's a much bigger name, and he would immediately probably lose like a third of his following if he were to talk about the deeper realities, right? Because the uncomfortable shit, people run from uncomfortable. In every relationship, one person loves more than the other. If the other even loves at all, they might just like you and be indifferent, right? Very, very rarely do two people fall equally in love or in infatuation. Very, very rarely. It's usually one person's interested and the other person is just kind of dealing with it, right? The vast majority. Now, I'm not going to say it doesn't happen, like true love doesn't happen. And I'm not going to say you can't have like love at first sight, whatever the fuck, like you're just so caught up over somebody, like the first time you see him, that's just it. You just love them kind of thing. I've been through that before, right? But looking back, after I've attained, a little bit of wisdom, when it comes to actually being a partner and a spouse, I think that there's love. Love is a small component. Love in the sense of like, okay, love in the sense of what movies are trying to sell dumb bitches, all that, like love, and then, oh, I can't get them off my mind and all that shit like that. Love in that sense is a very small component. of what makes relationships work. All right, on any level. I personally think that love is a very, very, very small component. I think it's a luxury more than anything. I think liking is more important than love. I think like and respect is more important than love, right? Alan Watts had a speech somewhere on the internet where he once knew a girl who had just bought a baby bunny rabbit, right? And when the girl's parents was driving her home from the pet shop, she held the bunny rabbit in her hands because she loved it so much. And the girl ended up smothering the rabbit to death with love in the back seat. She killed it because she hugged it too hard. Right? I think love is a very over exaggerated. I think it's overestimated. I think movies and cards and restaurants and Valentine's Day has put far too much attention into love. I think they just created into this this thing that heroin would pray to. I think it's just so high that it's just massively unattainable for 99.99% of the population. I think like and respect is more valuable than love. Depending on how you define love. I'm defining love based off how movies and media are trying to tell you what love is. Like and respect is more important. Because here's the thing. When you like and respect people, you know how to offer shit in a righteous mindset, right? You still have some level-headedness about you. But when you're in love, well, that's how you send OnlyFans bitches $10,000 just to meet them in a hotel room and not even have sex with them. And if she takes that $10,000 to her actual boyfriend, see that's what love. For in the context of what it's turned into now, that's what that's turned into. That's where it is now. Right? Love leads you to be completely irrational, completely ridiculous. Now I'm not saying not have a little love for people, for your spouse, whatever. I'm not saying don't have a little, but love on a whole, I think it's severely over exaggerated. I think had to have and to have respect for a partner is far more important than to completely just love. I think like and respect is more important. I've been married since 2018. It's about it's about tolerance. Yeah, see that love will fucking wash away. Love is nothing. Love for many people, the initial factor of love will wash away, and the lasting factor will be like that song Hallelujah. He said, love is not a victory march. It's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah. It's not a victory march. It's a cold and it's a broken. It's a cold and broken hallelujah. I don't care how pretty the bitch is, right? I don't care how pretty she is, how she cooks your food perfectly, blah blah blah. Remember, was it in Coming to America when Eddie Murphy was trying to find a wife, and he wanted a wife to do whatever he wanted, and so they brought a bitch in to do it, and it immediately turned him off from her, right? But you can say you didn't love her, so I get that, but I think love is over-exaggerated. Let's finish this.
To the rest of the world. That's an amazing thing. It also gives you the ability to have somebody who calls you on your bullshit, which is like an actual real thing. Once you get, to a certain level of power, people just are really, really afraid to call you on your bullshit. And having a group of people, whether it's friends or particularly your wife, who's able to do that is vital. Because if you don't have that, you spin off the rails incredibly fast. My wife tends to think in terms of the effect on the family. Right? As a man, my main thing is like, what is my effect on the world? I mean, I literally do that for a living. What is my effect on the world? What's my effect on society? What's my effect on the people who listen to the show? And so I'll try to overcommit. Okay, I want to get all these things done, right? I mean, there's so much to do before you die, right? You got to get out there, you got to travel, you got to change people, you got to do all this. And my wife would say, yes, but what about the kids? Like, do you want to be away for that night? Do you want to be able to put the kids in bed? And you do need that balance. And again, the differences between men and women are not only beautiful, they are vital. And pretending that those differences are of no consequence whatsoever and that other alternative forms of family structure are therefore equivalent in any way at all. They're different. They're different.
So let me see. What was the other one? I think it benefits women to get married young, for sure. I think it benefits women to get married young. Most men just don't have. Most men, in my opinion, most men just don't have it until they hit about 30, 35. The majority of men just will not have that ability to see through a lot of women's bull. Or some guys can just get lucky and not deal with a woman who plays a lot of the bullshit. But then at that point, he's going to be severely inexperienced if anything happens to his wife at the time, and he has to go back out in the dating market. I think most men just don't have it until they're like 30, 35. Now, girls, like you say, girls are pretty much born to get fucked and, shit like that. So it's like, it was back in them king times, they was like marrying bitches at 12 and 13. Like, I don't advocate this shit, but I mean, I can see the logic in it. I can see it. I don't advocate it in any kind of way. It does nothing for me personally to see a 13-year-old bitch. I don't advocate it, but I can see the logic in like where they would come from for doing that back in them. I can understand it, right? Because it was like women, they're pretty much, grown at 13 mentally, right? Okay, that's as far as most of them will ever truly make it. They learn to mimic after that and play, drama games after that. But their true development pretty much stops at about between 13 to 15, 16 years of age. But yeah, no, most men see. Okay, let's say for example, let's say like a dude like him, like he said he was married to his wife. He was 24 and she was 20, right? So see, and this is another brutal truth that nobody really wants to talk about. See, especially for a man. If a man, he hasn't been through the real ropes. He okay. Due to his, here's the thing. I'm happy for his success in life. I'm not trying to bash him or anything like that. It has nothing to do with this, but this is just from an analytical standpoint of where he comes from in life, just sheerly off of age alone, right? The fact that he got married at 24. See, if something, heaven forbid, something happens to his wife and he has to go back out there in the dating market, as a 38, 40-year-old man. He's going, like, there's a lot of troubles and trials and tribulations he just skipped over in the dating market. He just completely missed all that shit. Completely missed it. Right? And another reason why I think men should not get married until 30, 35-ish. I think men, because for a man, like, see, society does not look at men as a victim in any way unless like the woman was horrifically out of line. Whereas a woman is always a victim. Let's say like right now, right? Let's say if him, like I don't know the guy personally, I'm just using it as an analytical argument, right? Or just an analytical topic. Let's say him and his wife fall out right now, right? Immediately, his wife will be a victim. He will be the perpetrator. Right off the bat. See, and he's never had to live through that, in the dating market, right? Because he got lucky, which I'm happy for him, and he found a young girl to marry and lived out life like that, which I'm totally happy for him for. I would not wish anything, different. But it's the reality, right? Right. So since he got married at 24, there's a lot. See, if he had to go back out in the dating scene now and figure this shit out at 38, well, he's probably like, I don't know. This was 6 years ago. Oh, no, the other one, I don't know. Well, he's got to be like 40, 45, something like that. See, it's guys like that who end up suffering the most. I was actually telling my girl I was watching this video a while back, right? And the video was about loneliness, right? And at first it interviewed, like it was like probably a 10-minute video, and it was about loneliness. And it was at first it talked to people who were like 25, 30, 28, 32, and then they go to this dude who's like 90, right? And he still got a lot of energy and shit like that, right? He doesn't look 90 at all. The motherfucker had, you know what I mean? He was here. He was in the moment, right? And he was on like a Zoom call or something. And he goes, Well, loneliness is pretty crazy. And he continues on about how, yeah, I was married for 66 years. And one night, my wife, she comes to me and she says, you know, it's really, we're really fortunate that we've been married so long and we could have a conversation and truly be interested in each other. And he said, later that night, she never woke up. She died in her sleep. And he said dating has just been awful because he was married for 66 years. Right? He's completely can't even, well, he's 90 now. So it's like anybody his age don't have a hard time finding, just that whole complication. I won't dive into that, but yeah. Not true, AustriaDick. Regarding marriages during the Middle Ages, I was more usual to be thrown a age 12, 14 than to be married around 16, 18, depending on the time period, social status. Word up. The show Malcolm in the Middle had an episode where the wife, Lois, found out that her husband, Hal, loves her more than her, vice versa. Oh, yeah. 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 Yeah, and those are brutal times. So here's the thing, me and my girl, we talk about it. Like, we do talk about these. She probably watching now. I don't know. Um, she's not here right now. But she and I told her, look, somebody love. Okay. In every relationship, one person loves more than the other, and she goes, oh yeah, it's me. She just immediately says, yeah, it's me. I love more in a relationship than you do. She just immediately admits to it, like it's me. I'm the one who loves you more. But but yeah, so the thing is, like, see, I think most guys would probably hear that and think, like, oh, I would die to hear that. And I remember there was a time where I would have died to hear something like that, right? Oh, I easily can remember times where I would have like died to hear somebody just like say something like that, wake up this good morning text, from a woman type of shit, or if she knows she's not here, she's with her mama or something like that, or she knows I'm on a live stream or something, so she stays, in her flat or something. You know, some guys would just die for that. But see, it's the theory of there never really is a finish line with this shit. Like there, like with a race, even when you look at like racing cars or boats or whatever the fuck, there never is there really a finish line? Is there like when you win a championship in NBA or NFL or whatever you want to whatever sport you want to bring up, is there really ever a finish line? Right? Like really think about that. Like so with me, so she, like I said, so with Esmeralda, she goes, yeah, it's me. I love you more. I know. I'll admit to it. It's me. Right? She flat out says it. We were sitting in another room and she said it. Where I used to live stream from. She flat out says it. Right? Well, the next issue is, okay, how do I manage that? Right? Like, how did I take it and how do I manage it later? Right? And how do I live with that? Right? That's a whole nother step. Right? Just winning a championship is cool. But guess what? At the start of next season, now you got a reputation to live up to. So that stress, on top of keeping any insurgency down, and all this shit like that. See how fast it can build up and become a burden? Right? Now, let's say like a team, like I'm not throwing any shade at the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns are the only team I can think of that's pretty much always kind of sucked since I remember them. See, in reality, Cleveland Browns are in a more comfortable position because they don't have anything to really live up to. If you've always, I mean, I'm not saying like men suck for not having women say this. What I'm trying to say is like the Cleveland Browns don't have anything to live up to because like, well, we're the Cleveland Browns. Motherfuckers be happy if we win 10 games this year. Okay, well, if we win, oh well. If not, we're the Cleveland Browns, right? See, in reality, the Cleveland Browns are in a comfortable position because they're not championship, they're not Super Bowl winners, they're not playoff contenders. See, in reality, they're in the most comfortable position they can be in, right? Whereas let's say like the New England Patriots, I don't know who won the last, or let's say like the Kansas City Chiefs, whatever the fuck. See, these teams are in a more, in reality, these are more highly stressful positions because now they have to live up to something. And if somebody figures out what their strategy is and disrupts it, that's a cause for just a mental breakdown because now they have to live up to it. They have to manage being the Super Bowl champs the year before. So how do we look this year? They got to manage that shit. And it's never going to stop. There is no finish line in the overall scheme of things. Married guys usually always freak out when I say this, but you should never fall in love with your wife. Yeah. 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 She could fall in love with you, but you don't fall in love with her. Yeah. You can like and respect her, but don't fall in love. Falling in love is for the woman. It's not for the man.
Morgan says, Ben, how did you know you wanted to marry your wife, and how long did it take for you to propose? I knew I wanted to marry her for a couple of reasons. So I think that here's the typical pathway for men deciding they want to get married. First, there has to be physical attraction. Okay, this is just the reality. When men are first attracted to a woman, it's because there's a physical attraction to the woman. So my wife happens to be smoking hot, so this definitely was the initial draw. But in the first date, I mean, I dated a lot of women one time and decided I didn't want to date anymore because they were not either intellectually stimulating or have the same values. She not only, there was more than just a spark there is what I'm saying. It's easy to find, I think, a certain level of chemistry, particularly sexual chemistry with people. I don't think that's the hardest thing in the world to find. What is hard to find is somebody who shares your values. And my wife and I, on our first date, for 3 hours, discussed free will and determinism and how many kids we each wanted to have. I mean, we were dating for marriage. And so you have to do, I'm not saying sit there with a checklist, but you do have to have a group of things in your head that you want out of a spouse. And I don't mean like they're going to, shine your shoes or make dinner for you. I mean things like what kind of life do they want to build and what kind of values do they hold dear? Because that's the stuff you're going to be able to build a future on. Jonathan Haidt has a chapter in the Happiness Hypothesis about love. And one of the things he points out is that when you first meet your potential mate, then the level of passionate love is, I think he calls it passionate love and companionate love. Passionate love is like here on the scale, and companionate love, meaning how well you know the person and how much you love them for who they are as a companion, is down here. And this falls off within about 6 months. Passionate love falls off within 6 months or a year, a couple of years at the most. It doesn't mean that it doesn't exist anymore, but it just is different. Okay, I can tell you as somebody who's been married for 10 years, the feeling that you have for your spouse, particularly the kind of fiery need that you have for your spouse at the very beginning is not the same burning need that you have for your spouse throughout your life. And the companionate love tends to rise. So passionate love declines, companionate love rises. That's the way it should happen because companionate love is more important when you're building a life and building a family. Who you want to have sex with is a pretty arbitrary decision to a certain extent.
Here's the thing. What I'm going to add is I don't think you're really in control of I don't think you even know who you love. I'll add that. I think my comment thing froze. Hang on, let me. Uh-oh, what did I just do? I don't think that you're even in charge of who you love, right? You know how many times I heard like, a person died or something like that? Like, here's the thing. With me, which who dealt with a decent amount of death in his life, you never really know how much you love somebody or if you love them at all until they die. Right? That's when you know. That's when you're gonna know. And I'll tell you from experience, you won't know. Like, there's gonna be people who are gonna die who you'd be like, oh, I guess it happens. And there's some people who are gonna die, and it's gonna hit you like a train of fucking like a train of bricks, like a wall of bricks. It's like, damn. Like, and it's somebody you probably didn't even think you cared about that much. See, I think that's a deeper thing. Is with these things with love. It's some people you think you didn't love, and then come to find out you actually did. It's all this. Like, I think the whole concept of love and marriage has been I think it's been perverted out by Valentine's Day and and movies and shit like that. And I think it's also been made worse because every single woman wants to feel like she won some type of emotional lottery in the world kind of thing, which makes it work. Because now, then all that did was lead men to come in and say, "Oh, I want to feel it too. If the woman wants to feel it, that's how I get pussy." And I think it's just spiraled out of control in the last roughly 60 years. Because I remember there was a high school debate where it was like it had international students on it, and there was this girl from like, I don't know, like Pakistan or something like that. And she goes, yeah, in the West, like you guys are all about love, but out where I come from, like we're not deluded by, by this fantasy. Like we just get married and start families. We're not deluded by this fantasy of everybody's like everything's in this perfect place, and I just feel butterflies when I think like they're not deluded by that. Wherever the fuck she was from, she said like out there we don't do that. We're not held under that fantasy. UAD, please watch the movie Soulmates. Your girl might like it too. We'd love to hear your take on it. Word up. I will talk about real quick. We did watch a movie because she kept going on about this movie with Bill Burr. She didn't know who Bill Burr was. So all she kept telling me was there's this movie on Netflix that she watched and she really liked it because she said the guy's like me in it. He said he's like you. He just always says motherfucker and stuff like that and calls people faggots and shit like that, right? I'm like, what is this movie? Like, and she just kept going on about it one day, and that's when the baby was gone with her family. So we had the day alone together. So we watched a movie, and it was a Bill Burr movie. It was Bill Burr. She was talking about Bill Burr, and and I'm getting mad for Bill Burr in the movie, right? Because he's like, he's like me. He's just like, he's chilling. He does his own thing, and he's trying to get in and out wherever he goes, and have a peaceful life. And then, people keep coming up and fucking with him for like petty shit, right? and I was getting mad for him, right? Because I had to pause the movie until I see, you see that? Because the TV's right here. The bed's right here. The TV's up here. You can't see it now, but I'll pause it. See, you see that? Right? See, in the movie, Bill Burr's character, like he was living in a poshy area, trying to send his kid to a private school, and like the principal was like giving him a hard time, and he had a legitimate reason, but she was being a fucking cunt type of thing. And I paused. I said, "You see that? You see, as a man, this is the difference between being a man and a woman in the world. See, as a man, if you walk in the world and you have your own opinion about it, see, as a man, every second of the day, you have to fight for whatever you think about as a man. That's what watching Bill Burr, that was a perfect example to show her. If you have any opinion in the world as a man, the world takes pleasure in trying to destroy you. Like, it's fun for the world to destroy a man. The world literally jacks off to destroying men. It's fun to watch men be destroyed, right? Whereas, so a man, he only has two options. Either a man can walk around and be like this. Yes, oh yes, I like croissants and Froyos. Yes. Oh, don't gaslight me. If he has to be like one of them faggots like that, don't gaslight me, right? Or he has to stand up for himself and fight for his own, for whatever he thinks every second of the goddamn day. Either he has, and I told her, either a man has to be a pussy, or he has to fucking fight for anything he believes in every goddamn second of the day. That's what it is to be a man, right? See, as a woman, yeah, see, she said if a woman could go on social media and be like, yeah, I like to lick ice cream off of baby toes, and motherfuckers be like, yeah, power to you, girl. But if a man just says, why do women wear leggings at the gym? You fucking creep. Like, that's what life is, right? That's what life is for the genders, right? Because then we watched that movie You People with Eddie Murphy, and I thought that movie was horrible because I felt like they was being racist to Jonah Hill in that movie. All the black people in that movie was just like treating Jonah Hill like shit, and just made white people look completely horrible. Like, because that movie was coming up next. I said, I'm not watching that. That movie's terrible. The movie You People, it had Eddie Murphy, Nia Long, Jonah Hill, the dude from X-Files, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and I thought the movie was horrible because I thought it was too bad against white people. I didn't agree with that shit. They should have never made that movie. It was horrible. I gotta go to the bathroom one more time. I've been drinking and chilling. I'm going to the bathroom. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. But yeah, when it comes to love, man, like I just ended off where I started before, man. I think love is for women. Okay, to be successful in, right? Love is for women. Women are successful being dependent, whereas men are not. Men do not become successful being dependent. Men get run over, beaten down, all that, right?
I
Like,
will say that
oh God, it's these women again. Jesus Christ. It's these women again. Yeah. Like I said, like when it comes to being dependent, pathetic, weak, soft, slower, women do great with these things. Men get run over, right? It's just how it is. AD needs a bathroom break. Interlude. This makes me think of the live stream. Oh no, yeah, no, I'm here. No. But yeah, let's. The Reacher. I've heard the TV show Reacher was good. I haven't watched. I don't watch much movies or TV unless I'm sick or like something happened. But usually when I'm sick, that's when I'll binge watch a lot of shit if I'm sick. But if I'm not sick, I just don't have the attention span to watch many movies. I rewatched Interstellar. Interstellar is still just a fucking masterpiece. Some people swear by Christopher Nolan and other movies. For me, it's Interstellar. Interstellar, even though there's like issues like with physics and shit, like there's definitely like drastic issues like with them traveling and leaving the planet. Like I was trying to explain to my girl like how that actually works and why like because I told her it's very depressing to think about, and I could get some stuff wrong because I'm not a physicist, but how I understand it is I was telling her how the reality of how we're essentially stuck on Earth. Like there's no real way to really develop anything so that our time that we can actually go see or do something on another planet, and well not on another planet, but like in another like galaxy kind of thing. Because like because we started talking about this stuff and she actually has no idea. She didn't even know what a black hole is. So I had to explain to her what a black hole is. How long these things theoretically take to happen. This doesn't happen in like a month. These are like billions of years for this shit to and it's not even guaranteed, right? And I was trying to explain to her how physics works. Like if you like the closest, I think the closest star is like how many light years away? I can't remember now. Star. Yeah, so I was trying to explain to her like the speed of light. So the nearest star is 4 light years away. So I was trying to explain to her like the concept of what a light year is, and explain to her that light takes so long to travel, kind of thing. So I was really trying to break it down to get her to to understand it. I don't think she really got a lot of it. because of course there's like the language issue too. But when I explained to her like, yeah, like we're essentially stuck on Earth, like humans, like as of where we stand right now, like to get to okay to get to the closest planet, the closest star, right, is going to be 4 light years away, right? So that's 4 times the speed of light, right? We would have to travel to get there in 1 year, right? So then I tried to show her like this video of like the actual speed light travels. It showed like the sun here, like Mercury here, Venus here, Earth, and it showed like how fast light actually would travel from the sun. You know, it takes like 8 minutes from light to get from the sun to Earth, kind of thing. So I was trying to explain to her like just how far, you know, planets outside of our immediate solar system are, and the reason why like it's a severely low chance that any you know that any type of alien would even know we exist, and not and on top of that even come here, kind of thing. At least with the technology that we have, like it's just insanely low. It's not even close. Like it's ridiculous when you travel at this. If you're gonna travel just at the speed of light, like the aging starts to flip like crazy to points where like it's just not like perception, everything just goes out the window, like for what we know living on Earth. And she started getting, I told her it was going to be depressing, and she got pretty depressed about it when I like really broke down like just how wild the universe really is, kind of thing. I don't know how I got started on that. How did I get started? I don't know how I got started on that. Space is water. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for the explanation. But yeah, I was just explaining, yeah, like how the chance of an alien actually coming here, the chance an alien would even know that we exist, let alone travel here and make it here and then be in anywhere near the same physical height. I mean, all these things like very massively, like very extreme, like I think movies and media over exaggerate the odds of like an alien coming here and it'd be like, 6'2". Like, I mean, like, you know how big planets can get? Right? There could very well be aliens that are bigger than fucking the state of Ohio, right? Like these motherfuckers don't have to be 5'9". And I remember I explained to her like the theory, like the concept of aliens in movies and media, right? And so I explained it to her like this, like one thing I've never really liked is how media movies always show aliens. I'm gonna get on this video right after this, but I just like thinking about this stuff. So, and I think I brought this up a while back. How movies always show an alien with like 2 eyes, a mouth, a nose, 2 arms, legs, shit like that, right? So in the reality of like the entire universe, right, it would be the same thing as let's say if we can communicate with caterpillars or a centipede, right? Let's say we can communicate with centipedes, right? Or butterflies or birds, whatever, right? Let's say a bird. Let's say we communicate with a bird, right? And we get to talking and the bird says, yeah, we make movies about aliens that came here. And you know what I mean? And it could be some real shit. And we go in there and we go to the little bird movie theater and they got their little bird actors being like, the human birds or whatever. And then the alien come there and it'd be a bird that just be like a little bit taller and it'd be like purple. Right? You'd be like, that's a bird, bro. That's you. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, are you serious? Do you really think that's an alien? That's you. Now, something might have happened to y'all. Like, maybe this motherfucker grew up somewhere else. But that's literally you. Like, that's not an alien. It is alien to you, but it's not an alien. You see what I'm saying? Like, and I think movies, I think that's just a basic, commonality that I think many people just kind of overestimate the universe. Is like, if an alien comes here, it has to have 2 arms. It has to be Clark Kent, a white dude that's just 6 foot tall and kind of strong. You mean like, the fuck out of here? Like, there's a whole planet of Krypton with a bunch of white motherfuckers walking around on it. Like, it's crazy. Like, that shows like the entitlement of a human, right? Like, how do you even think that's even close to like a reality? If you have any proper understanding of biology on even like on elementary level, you would easily see that that's complete bullshit. But yeah. Do you hear about Miami? No, I don't know anything about Miami. Yeah, whether the chance they have a higher intellect than us is extremely. Or yeah, what's up, Mo? But yeah, I would just want to add, like, even with that, man, like I would add the odds that in development, the odds in development, at least where we stand now with our technology and awareness, the odds that we would even find any alien species that could communicate with us on any level, that we're in the same development path of intelligence, right? Because 100,000 years is a drop in the bucket when you talk about, not even a drop in the bucket when you talk about the universe. 100,000 years to us is like, but you talk about the universe, that's nothing. That's like this. It's not even a penny. So it's like when it comes to aliens and shit like that, like I don't say I don't believe it because anything's possible, but I just think a lot of things are oversimplified to fuel imaginations.
I will say that vulnerability is a superpower.
Yeah.
It really is. It is just a reframing of your mind as to what vulnerability actually, because there was a point in which I could never let anybody see a crack in the facade. Never let anybody see you shook. And I was dying inside. I've been in this industry for a really long time. And as a woman, a Black woman, to have survived in this industry, the most misogynistic industry, I think, in the world, I am not without my scars.
Hello and welcome to Listen to Black Women. Just us, okay? Focus on this side of the stage is what we're gonna do. Now, I'm L'Oreal, and of course, I have my lovely girl with me, Al Varner.
I wanna know how we build a stronger, real community for us.
Melissa Ford.
As a Black woman, to have survived in this industry, I am not without my scars.
And we have to welcome our Black Belsh and
I like it. Okay.
You know, when women are being accused of being, hyper masculine and that sort of thing, it's like, it's not being done really by choice. It's like, it's survival skills,
It's
a lot of men are like, today's woman doesn't know how to allow a man to lead. It's just like, we'll let you lead if we know and trust you know where you're going.
Exactly.
Where are you leading us to? I said
Off
this
a
the other
cliff
day. Are you leading us off a cliff to hell?
Yeah.
The promised land? Where are we going?
Baby,
Because a
get
lot
back.
of times when men say this kind of thing, like, I want to control my household, I want to be the man of the house, it's just like, do you even know what that actually means and what will be required of you to hold that title? There is responsibility that comes with that title of.
Okay, see, let's stop this right now because these are the arguments that women will always bring up without acknowledging the basic core beginnings that would lead up to this. Melissa Ford cannot keep a man. That's who was just speaking. Melissa Ford, she doesn't even have a man. And she can't keep one. So what does she know about responsibilities in a relationship? For any woman who may be watching this now or in the future, pay attention to who you're taking advice from about anything. What does this woman know about responsibilities and following a man? She doesn't have a man. She can't keep one. She doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. Listening to her talking about what to do with a man will be the same thing as listening to a dog about how to make pancakes. It's bullshit. She's saying a bunch of goddamn nothing. She's a dog making pancakes. That's what the fuck she is. Let's see. So right off, you have to see, because if you let her talk, she just hopes women like that hope you'll just believe what they're saying and just run along with it. And if it works, then great. Because she gets attention. No, break this shit down from the beginning. Consider the source. This woman she doesn't have a man. And she can't keep one. So why the fuck would she feel comfortable talking about what it takes for a man to be a leader and how to follow? She don't know how to follow no man. She doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. You be better off asking Kim Kardashian how to change the oil in your car instead of paying attention to this shit. So I said, right, we had to stop that. Stop it right in its tracks right there. She doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about at all. She knows how to suck a dick, put on makeup, and walk in heels. That's about it. And read. Because she used to be a TV host, so she had to know how to read something. We know she knows how to do those four things. But what we know she doesn't know how to do is keep a man. That's the certainty. So why even invite this woman to talk on the goddamn show about a man? If it's not essentially being a glorified prostitute? Why even bring her on the show to talk about men and relationships if she can't even keep a damn relationship? Like I said, you be better off asking your dog how to make pancakes and waffles from scratch. You probably get better advice from them.
I am the man of the house, I am the provider, I am this, I am that. And provision is not just financial, because women are at a different stage in our, in society now where we can make the same kind of money, sometimes more than men. So sometimes it's not about financial provision. It is about spiritual. It is about emotional. It is mental. It's all of these things. Like we were going to have a discussion about intimacy.
Yeah.
And that's what intimacy is. It's not just about the physical. It's not just about sex. It is
you can talk about that.
What do you provide to your partner that makes them feel whole and makes them feel safe and makes them feel secure and makes them feel like you are home.
So
And see, that's the only area that she's qualified to talk about. Getting fucked. That's it. That's the only area that I would say, yeah, you can listen to her about that. How did a man fuck you? Blah, blah, blah. Did he make you feel safe after he busted in your face? I don't know. Did you feel safe after he came up your ass? I don't know. I would take her word for that.
What does that mean to you as a married man?
I feel like that means emotional intelligence. It means,
Now, this source, a man who's actually married and can keep a spouse in some way. And how much you want to bet they're going to disregard everything he says? How much you want to bet they're going to disregard everything an actual factual source can produce?
Being vulnerable, also being in tune with oneself in regards to what you bring to the table and what is your responsibilities, what's being asked of you. And if you know that, I feel like I don't look at it as it should be so hard. It should be something that you can have an open, honest conversation about. Like, me as a black man, you as a black woman, what's your pain points? What's your struggles? Okay, how do I balance that for you? Once you have understanding of that, now you both are in alignment.
Because that takes partnership, not versus. A big part of the reason why things are falling apart, relationships and stuff, instead of it being like, how do we do this together? It's like, what's the man supposed to do? What's the woman supposed to do?
Or they operating off of antiquated
gender roles,
and they think
that doesn't work for everyone.
Even when you brought up like financial, it's like, okay, if a man is thinking, okay, I make a lot of money, I make more than her, or she don't work, and that gives me the right or this obligation that I can treat her any kind of way,
right? Or cheat on her or step
whatever
out. But can the woman do the same? If she's the breadwinner, is it okay for her to step out and mess around?
Is that comprehended to that guy? Either way, that's that understanding. You have to abolish that. You got to get away from that. It comes down to your current situation, what you're involved in, and identify where we are in 2023. And you say to yourself, look, I understand as a man, as a black man, that I bring XYZ to the table, or I understand that financially we're good, all right? So let's not spend our relationship talking about like because of money, it goes a certain way. Let's talk about like what is actually affecting us in a relationship. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like you have defense mechanisms, you have childhood trauma, things that make up your character, make up in regards to how you treat relationships or how you view your other partner. That stuff is important. And if more of these men that are on social media that are like, like Mounts was talking about in this dark room, talking about, women are XYZ, like, first of all, just have this conversation with yourself, like where you are.
That's true. Some people don't talk to themselves.
Before you get out here? You might have been bawling your eyes out and then cut the camera on. It was like, I hate these women. You know what I'm saying? But nobody's checking with him after he's done. Nobody's checking with him. Check on that man.
Nobody
boy.
check. But I'm gonna start putting that in the comments. Check on him.
You know, and honestly, one thing that I can always completely notice, like up front, very quickly, is how Western men tend to deal with women, or on a whole, versus like when I see men from like pretty much anywhere else on Earth, like how they deal. Now, there's always gonna be chumps everywhere, but it's this like. Like I can feel it, like kind of like how when you see an American walking around Prague, you like when I was in Ukraine, right? I still remember I was walking down the street and I seen this black dude, and I immediately knew he was American because of how he was walking and how he was dressed. Immediately knew, and I just walked up to him and just started speaking English, right? Because I knew he was American. Like like the Westerner guys, like we definitely have there's a certain thing that we have. I don't know what it is, but it is there. It's like a mixture of confidence with insecurity and hesitation. It's this weird blend, but I can always feel it immediately.
Do y'all do that as men when you see your own friend going off on a woman or saying certain things? Are you like, yo, are you okay? Like,
Yeah. I'm not surrounding myself with anyone that thinks like that intimately. Right? So like these two, we friends off of this.
Yeah.
So real quick, Sam W says, "Hey D, side question. I read that about 80% of marriages tend to happen within the same race. Do you know why this occurs? White and Asians are the largest group of interracial marriages out of all of them." Well, in the U.S., it makes sense because of wealth distribution. In the U.S., from wealth distribution, that makes sense. So that mixture that you just brought up makes plenty of sense when you look at wealth distribution, because and weirdly, like throughout history, like the white and Asian populations, they've historically been very interested in each other. What's this? I'm trying to find just the actual. Nah, this isn't a good one. That just shows like just a clear wealth gap. Maybe this is it. Yeah. So when you say like white and Asians were the two who have the highest group. Well, if you look at wealth distribution, it makes perfect sense as to why that would be. But I would even I would go a step further into saying like throughout history, like the European / Western or white population, they've always held Asians as an interesting exotic, culture of people. It's historically been like that. So I would say this definitely plays a big part in it. Well, I would say that's really a major, really the major, is at least in America, this is the major part of it, right? Because women are going to go after protection, and who's going to have all the protection? Is going to be, okay, but by the time the Asian population makes it to North America, they're going to be like, a lot of times they're going to be like the higher ups, or you'll have some working in stores, not all of them, but a lot of times like the Asian population works hard, dude, and they'll come to America and clean up, right off the bat, and many other places too, but I'm just mostly focused on Asian right now. So they'll come there, and I didn't even know they were this high in wealth distribution, but I would say that would pretty much sum up the majority of it. Why those two would be the biggest melting pot out of any other interracial marriages on a global scale. I haven't looked into that stat to know exactly like what you're talking about, but just from what you read, it makes perfect sense. At this point, it's more efficient to have a family in a different country to avoid child support, court headaches, and other pains. Oh yeah. Like with my son now, man, I could never imagine having a kid in North America. I just couldn't imagine doing it. And I would never tell anybody to do it. Well, and I told my girl because sometimes people just don't like to hear some shit, and I get it. But like the reason why the West ended up like how it is with child support is because back in the day, men used to impregnate women with like 8 and 9 kids and just leave, right? And the woman couldn't do anything, right? So the reason why child support really took on and took over was because, okay, it was essentially the same reason why I think why Norway kind of has like a universal like welfare system. So even, I want to say it's Norway. Even if you lose your job, the what's it called, like the supplemental income, whatever you want to call it, it's like it's a good, like you're not going to be like struggling. And the reason why they have that in place, I want to say it's Norway. The reason why they do that is because crime is actually more expensive than not having crime, right? In the long run of things. And in the U.S., like I said, in the U.S., what happened back in the day was men were going around impregnating women with 8, 9, 10 kids and just leaving, right? And the woman was stuck with 8, 9, 10 kids to feed, to raise, to bathe, to clothe, and all this. And all that's going to do is just cause more crime, right? So what do? Well, we just find a way to make the man stay however we can. And that's essentially where child support, it pretty much came from. Generally speaking, that's a big factor in why it started. And I think a lot of red pill guys probably don't want to hear that, but that's a big. It was at minimum a decent factor as to why that child support took off the way it did. But then it went overboard for many reasons. Some racial, some not racial, but it ended up going overboard. What do you think Western men should do about their mindset when moving abroad? Okay. One big issue. Okay, not to say it's an issue, but one big thing that I see, like when I'm on like Facebook or something like that, right? And in some groups, people like bragging about their credit score, and like see, because in America, your credit score is like everything. So for those of you who don't know what credit score is, like every country has it in some form, but like America is like, it's a bigger definition of what you are. Your credit score is pretty much how you pay loans back, or do you owe anybody money? Did it have to go to collections, meaning like they had to like fine you to get the money out of you kind of thing, which is a big like red mark on your credit report, all that shit like that. One thing, okay, in my opinion, I think that credit score does nothing more in America for the people who are in there and are stuck in the U.S. and they never like left or move anywhere else. They don't know how to let that go, right? So when it comes to like credit score, a house, like the house, that's another thing. It's become like it's become like your identity in the West. Like, oh, what kind of house, what kind of car, what kind of credit score. These are like literally, these have become the identity of the people, right? And it's almost like they don't understand. Like, no, dude, like you could like that's only in North America, right? There's ways around that shit, right? But if they didn't grow up traveling or see stuff, they don't know. So they live their lives like in prison there. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be easy when you leave, but that's just life and that's the world. But what I would say about Western men and moving abroad is, one, if you're living in the U.S. specifically, be prepared for lack of communication, right? Because like one thing that I took for granted in America is courtesy and kindness and communication. Logistics and communication is America's fucking strength, right? When you leave there, like I remember when I went to Argentina and I seen how these motherfuckers was walking. I mean, like it's just, I'm not trying to talk because I would move to Argentina. If I was single, I probably would have just went back there and lived there. But it's just that North America's big thing is logistics, planning, thorough communication type of thing. That's what we excel is when you leave. I think that's one of the biggest things you're going to notice first is that nobody's really talking to anybody. They expect you to just kind of read their mind kind of thing. It's almost more like a feminine mentality, like once you leave the U.S. in this context. Whereas in America, like motherfuckers will come up to you, say, hey, you need some help? You know where you at? Out here, motherfuckers just let you be lost forever. Right? So if you're shy, they coming over here will knock you out of your comfort zone of being shy. But once you start working, many people lose themselves and their identity is their work, car, house, and material goods. Yeah, that's true, man. Completely. Let's continue. We got like 5 minutes on this video. Let me finish this video.
And if I ever thought that they was out here doing that, we not friends, bro.
Yeah.
Let's come and do the show and go home.
Because I've heard guys say they don't have anyone to really talk to, that's not how their friends
Which is true. Which is true.
Yeah.
Two things to be true. Like, we can be around men who portray as best they can that they have morals and decorum and know how to deal with women, and they really could. But then also don't know how to communicate their true feelings. That's a lot of us. It might be all three of us up there. Like, yeah, you'll never see me out here disrespecting women, especially not a woman I'm dating. But do I know how to communicate? Hell no. Do I get in my...
You do a whole
know
show.
how to ask
That's not
communication.
communication.
That's oration.
Exactly.
I'm a great orator. I'm a terrible communicator. I get on stage every night, 3,000, 6,000 people, and I orate to them. Great. I make them feel
But you can tell your feelings to a bunch of strangers.
I'm
and
not feeling.
That's
I'm not
articulation.
telling feelings.
He's not telling us.
Well, here's the big miscommunication. See, since women don't have to have things like character and courage in the world, like they just completely they don't get it, so just forget them for a while. When a man says, typically when in a context like this, when a man says he doesn't know how to communicate, but he can go on stage and talk to like 3,000 people. Okay, look, the reason why now I could be wrong, but I'm fairly certain I'm going to be at least in the ballpark. What he really means to say is he doesn't know how to communicate to a woman and still keep her respect for him. So he's just giving up on it. Just don't even want to take the risk. Just rather just go do something else and hope she figures it out. Right? Because see, now here's the part that woman does not understand, because she's a woman. She was born into a life of waiting for things to come to her, to fuck her one of her three holes. Woman doesn't get this part. You see, let's say the two in the middle, right? Let's say they go on a date. Both of them are single and they go on a date, right? Who's going to be the one who has to initiate conversation? It's going to be the man, right? And who's going to do all the listening and judging? It's going to be the woman. See, when a man talks on a date, when he meets a woman or he's with a woman, see, the man has to be the creator, the developer, and all this. And what does the woman do? She sits around and judges everything. She judges every word that comes out, every body language that comes out, every breath that comes out. That's all she does, because she's a piece of shit. Right? That's all they do. And then they wonder why most men will just say, to hell with it, I'm not even going to communicate with you. Because all she's done, woman's form of communication is sitting back, waiting to judge you on something and then throw it back up in your face later, instead of actually having some legitimate logical argument, right? Now, every now and then they'll come across a guy like me who will know what she's doing and will just steamroll over that type of thing. And usually one or two things happen. Either she runs away immediately or she falls in love with me. It's the only reaction they can have to guys like me, or guys better than me, right? Guys who know how to steamroll over that, her sitting back watching me and judging me or listening to me, or all that shit. Like, see, there's guys out there who know how to just steamroll over all that. Right? I don't care. Okay, cool, whatever. I'm gonna do whatever I want. Okay, bye. Leave. You can go home. I'm gonna go watch a movie by myself. I really wanted to watch this Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning just came out. I want to go see that. Well, you can come with me if you want. I'll go watch it by myself. I'll buy my own ticket. Bye. Go home. Holla. Peace out. And go to a movie by myself and watch that shit happily and have a great fucking day. Women don't know how to handle shit like that. They don't know how to handle guys like that. So when she's in fear, what will she do? She's either going to run away immediately and into hiding to try to figure out what the hell just happened, or she's going to fall in love with me and not want to leave me at all. It's going to be one of the two. They can't casually exist with you after that, because you've hit an extreme for them now in the social standings of life and all that. She can't just casually hang out with you anymore. It has to be one or the other. So when he says he doesn't communicate, see, from a woman's perspective of communicating means I'm judging you all the time on everything you do. When a man usually communicates, it's usually, I just want you to do something else. Like, why aren't we doing this? I just want you to do something. And it's usually nothing like too massive. It's just like, just usually, especially if you've been in a relationship long enough, it's just like, yo, just chill the fuck out, shut the fuck up. We got food, water, heat. Why are you bitching? Kind of thing, right? Whereas a woman, she's constantly judging you versus her girlfriends, boyfriends, and her father, and her cousins, and her niece's boyfriend, and she's judging you, comparing you, and doing all that nonsense bullshit, and it comes to you with something out of nowhere. So yeah, and I get it. He probably just said, what most men will just say, fuck it. I'm just not. I don't even want to talk to you anymore. I'll sparingly keep you around to fuck you from time to time as some side hussy, but there's not a lot of most men they'll just say fuck it long before that, and I'm just not talking.
So you're not feeling, no, that's an opinion. That's a way you feel. No?
But it's not like how you're
It's
feeling
my
about
insight
it.
on something. It's in my insight on something.
Yeah.
It's my observation.
What do you think prevents you from being able to communicate?
I make a choice. Like I've been saying, I'm accountable for everything. I make a choice not to communicate because I don't want to feel vulnerable. I don't want to
There you
feel
go.
left out. I don't want to give somebody the opportunity for me to be vulnerable and then be like,
Or you don't know how.
oh, I know how. I just don't want to do it.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
And
exactly what I just said.
I think we
Yeah.
have to look at
That's
that.
toxic.
I think we have to start to look at like how yes, it's very scary to be vulnerable. My whole career is made off.
See, this is again, it's gonna be a woman. See, women thrive in being vulnerable, delicate, breakable, moldable, fuckable, pathetic, slow, scared, weak. See, women thrive in this. So listening to her is a waste of fucking time. In comparison to a man. Waste of time. Women thrive off of being dainty, delicate, pathetic, weak, slow, stupid, clueless. Women thrive in these fields. Their life gets nothing but better. The more dumb she is, and as long as she just opens up a fucking hole to get fucked in, she thrives in being an idiot. Women thrive in being dumb as fuck. Because you can fuck them. But men don't thrive in being vulnerable. Men don't thrive in that. If a man gets vulnerable, he gets robbed of many things. Finances, social status, intellect, whatever. He'll get robbed as soon as he gets vulnerable. And starts to second guess himself and think twice and all that shit like that, and start to get nervous and shy and scared. Oh, a man is pathetic. A woman is a target to get fucked. Right? See, what's the definition of a woman acting right versus a man acting right? The definition of a woman acting right is being subservient, weak, pathetic, slow, dumb, clueless, lesser. That's when a woman is considered wife material. Now, what makes a man husband material is when he stands strong. He's not weak. He doesn't cry. He's not pathetic, slow, weak, dumb, all the above. See, this is why listening to women is a waste of goddamn time. Complete waste of fuck. When you're trying to compare men and women, it's a waste of fucking time and space.
Vulnerability. I talked about my weight. I talked about relationships. All my songs are like pages of my diary. But also in real life, I don't want to talk about nothing, so I get it. But I think that we do ourselves a disservice when we do not show up and be our authentic self.
Right.
So that's the funny part.
I mean, Mouse, I will say that vulnerability is a superpower.
Yeah.
It really is. It is just a reframing of your mind as to what vulnerability actually, because I was there with you at one point. There was a point in which I could never let anybody see a crack in the facade. Never.
And that's why she's still single. That's why she's still single, and he probably got a wife at home. Well, the other guy does. See, women being like that is not good look for women. It's not, because then they just come off as cunty bitchy. See, if Melissa Ford, when she was still in her prime and youth, if she just walked around with, I just don't know. I'm just so lost. I don't know where to go. Motherfuckers be like, hey, I got you, sweetheart. Come over here. Right? Now, if homie in the black, if he was walking around, I'm just so lost. I don't know where to go. What do I do? I was like, well, I guess you better figure it out, bro. I don't know where you gotta go. they'd kicked his ass out. Being vulnerable is a superpower for being vulnerable for a woman is her ultimate backup plan in life to get success. Just act like a ditzy idiot and flirt a little bit. And it's an immediate win for women. Either other women will feel sorry for her, or some white knight simp is going to try to come up and take care of her. It's an immediate. But how she's going to lose is trying to become masculine. Because now she's going to be too hard to fuck.
Never let anybody see you shook. And I was dying inside. I've been in this industry for a really long time. And as a woman, a black woman, to have survived in this industry, the most misogynistic industry, I think, in the world, I am not without my scars. You know what I'm saying? And it took me a long time to realize that vulnerability was my superpower. When I ran from it for so long, it was rooted in so much shame in letting people know that I was not perfect. I felt like I had to portray perfection at every turn. Probably different reasons than you have. But I have discovered that vulnerability is my superpower, and boy, does it takes the weight off my shoulders of having to always be performative. You know what I'm saying? And it endears you to people as well. That's the other thing. And you find your tribe that way as well.
But how did you get to that point, Melissa? Because you obviously you were very closed, right?
I'll be very honest. Two things happened. I was in a near-death car accident, so I suffered a traumatic brain injury, and that just resulted in severe mental health issues. And then almost 2 years after that, my mom passed away. So I went through hit after hit after hit, and it was during the pandemic, so it was just like I didn't have a choice.
What did I say? The only time women act right is when either life or a man, something beat it out of them. That's what I always say. The only time she's gonna act right is if something beat it out of her. Women are not naturally good. They don't naturally act right. The only time any form of decency can come out is when life beat it out of them. Now, I don't wish anybody's mom to die or anything like that, but that's what I always say that. I've always said it. If a woman if you treat a woman like a queen, she's gonna treat you like a peasant. But if you treat her like a peasant, she'll fuck around and treat you like a king. I don't wish it was like that. I wish it was different. I really do. I like. Here's the thing. From the biggest pimps, the biggest like woman beaters, all this shit. If you were to ask any evil man, right, when they were like 14 or even younger, what did they if it was their choice to act any kind of way to get a woman, what would any man choose? To treat them great or to treat them like shit? Most men would say, I would love to, if I see a girl I like, I want to be nice to her. I want to take her out. I want to show her things and this and that. No man wants to treat a woman like, very few men genuinely go out in the world and want to treat a woman completely like shit. Especially in the beginning phase, when he's infatuated with her. Very few men want to do that. Very few men want to treat her, ignore, act like he's bothered. Very few men want to do it, right? But men, when you learn women, you learn like, okay, you have to. Because again, if you treat a woman like a queen, she's going to treat you like a peasant. But if you treat a woman like a peasant, she'll fuck around and treat you like it. She'll fuck around and treat you like at least a security guard type shit, right? Like you at least move. You ain't gonna be a peasant anymore, right? You may not be a king, but she'll at least give you something in return, right? Because this is one woman who works at the library. She's older. She's got to be like 40, 45. But I'm crazy about that old hoe, man. Like, I'm crazy. Like, she just has like this perfect look to her. And when she walks, she like bounces. Like she's like still youthful, but she's older. She's not young. I think she has like a little bit of gray hair, but she just has this. She's one of those women who just aged great, right? And I'm crazy. I just have to look at her every time I go in the library, kind of thing. But I make sure she can't see me, kind of thing. But then like the few times I had to talk to her, I just like always just kind of like make sure she's like the last thing I look at with whatever I'm doing, kind of thing, and then don't even look at her too long, because it's just at this point it's just a habit. Like it's a habit within me to know, like, okay, if I like a woman in any kind of way, treat her worse. treat her as if she's the last thing in this room, right? Because not every time, but many times when you start out treating them too nice, they're gonna write you off like a piece of shit, right? It's just how it is. Again, I say all the time, I wish it wasn't like this. I wish you can just go out and be just nice, and it's cool, right? I wish it was like that. But women's history proves otherwise. Women's history proves that they like to be treated worse. They like to be treated like shit. You know, if you treat them nice, they're going to take advantage of you and fuck you over. If not now, then in time. Right? So you have to do it. You have to. The only way she's going to act right is if she knows you treat her like shit, or she knows you have some other options, or she knows you're on the up and up and you can still do some stuff in the world. That's the only thing that's going to keep her acting right, is if she figures you have some other options. Once she figures you don't have any other options, and now you sitting up underneath her and pay, and you going to go to work all day to pay for her rent and everything like that, like what the first case was, you going to pay for all her shit and be scared to ask her to do 3 pairs of pants for laundry. Oh, she don't treat you like shit. The first time, like, she don't respect you. She's gonna be, and by that point, she's gone forever. Whatever it is, it's done. Just throw her out. It's done. And like Coach RedPill said years ago, man, the sad part is by the time most women figure it out, it's just too late. They've missed the whole boat. Look at Melissa Ford. I think she's got to be like 50. Because she was older when I was watching her on BET when I was a kid. She just missed that whole boat. The rest of her life is useless now. She's not married. She ain't got no kids. The rest of her life is going to be spent out. It's completely useless. She's a walking corpse that's just piling on makeup to try to trick herself into thinking she still looks 28. She's done. It's over. It's over. And I don't mean that to be mean. For any woman watching this is the reality of it. It's the reality. There's nothing. What else is there to her life? Okay, how is it? And this is a case study for women. And I don't mean this to be mean to her, but this is just a case study for women. Women should pay attention. She's 47. This is in check. Can you guys see that? This is in check. She's 47. Right? And she can look as good as she want to look, and she can look great, right? Let's look at pictures because I was crazy about her when I was a kid, man. Like, she was one of the prettiest women I'd ever seen back then, right? But what the fuck is her life? What the fuck is her life based around? Buying more makeup, wearing heels, and trying to impress people. The same shit she was doing since she was fucking 17. She missed the boat. It's over. It's done. There's nothing else to her life but to sit up and get drunk every night and be mad that she missed the boat and try to convince herself that the next sale at whatever store is going to happen and that'll be a good day for her while she pops another pill to calm down her depression. It's over. It's done. She figured it out, but it's too late. There's no going back. But she looks cute. But she cute. It's over. And she could have the biggest house, the biggest cars, the best shoes, the best whatever. And she's alone. She could buy the biggest dinner table, kitchen, everything. And she's sitting at that dinner table alone. There's nobody there. She is done. She can't fix it. As a man, you can fix it. You can always fix it. No matter how old you get, you can go back out there and do it all. Look at Al Pacino. Al Pacino just had a let's do. Pacino. I mean, he's Al Pacino, but so I mean, I can never type when I'm live streaming. I can usually type pretty fast, but I always like type like shit when I'm live streaming. Yeah, Al Pacino's the motherfucker, and he ain't no spring chicken. You know what I mean? And he went on out there to see, as a man, you can go out there and fix it. Right. Now, if you flip this, or if, like, let's use like Sharon Stone, that's another woman I use as an example. Sharon Stone, she can't go back out there and do this. She's missed it. It's done. It's over. Her time. Women live a much more carefree life in the beginning. Right. And it's literally just handed to them because they're a woman. But that was that saying from Blade Runner: the candle that burns twice as bright only lasts half as long. That's what a woman's life is. That's the lifestyle of a woman. It burns twice as bright, but it only lasts about a third as long as a man's does. And they shine, and like women like this, even this woman, like, yeah, she's shining bright now. Yeah, that candle is shining bright. That candle right now is shining bright. But it's only going to see, but when she ends up like Al Pacino, she won't be able to go out there and have another baby and all that shit like that. Right? It's done. It'll be finished for her. And like I said, then she will end up like Melissa Ford. Oh, I get it now at 47. I don't even be the roaster, but like, you get the point. Like, I get it. I get it now. Yeah, I just had to be vulnerable. Like, I had to show some signs of being human. It was such an enlightening phase. I had to get into a near death accident and have my mother die before it was, I can actually realize what it's like to be a decent human for once. Now it's so clear. Like, I would feel sorry for women if they weren't so horrible when they were on top. I would feel sorry for a woman I would feel sorry for women if they weren't so horrible when they were when they were in the lead, right? Like, see, here's the thing. See, the reason why people respect Michael Jordan is because he didn't talk shit about shitty teams when he was Michael Jordan. Right? Like, so that's why motherfuckers respect men a lot of times in these positions, right? Even though they were probably like assholes in other ways. But okay, like Steve Jobs wasn't walking around saying, "Oh, don't buy that fucking Windows phone. I think it's a piece of shit. It's horrible." Blah, blah, blah. I mean, he didn't walk around and slander the fuck out of that shit. He just did what he did and he kept moving, right? And see, that is why men usually end up respected, or they'll have their masses of groups somewhere where they stay respected, right? But when a woman's on top, oh, she's too good. She'll talk shit about anybody, or she's too good to talk to anybody else. And see, that's why women just get shitted on all the time. You see, as a kid, you don't really, when you're a little kid, you don't really see it or know it. You can't really see it. But as you get older, it becomes clear. Like, this is why historically, like, women always get shitted on, because they treat people like completely horribly just because they're just woman, kind of thing. Like, and like with Melissa Ford, I'm sure she had 10 guys hoping for her text back, 15 years ago, and she thought she was too cute for all of them. And you already know, it's a guarantee, right? Again, I would feel sorry for them if they weren't so horrible when they were on top. I would feel. That's why I just find it's comical to me. AD, why do some women claim that men don't treat them as human when everyone in life in the West shows otherwise? Okay, I was going to hang on. Why do women claim that men don't treat them as human? Okay, now I'll say this. Women do have a point as to why men don't treat them as human. And it's because but the reason why men cannot really treat them as human in hopes of getting anywhere is because women won't allow it. right? Because if a man treats her too nice and too much like a human up front, she's going to put him in the friend zone and reject him. So if a man is going to have anywhere near a good shot with her, he's going to have to treat her like shit. Because the more a man is going to sit up and talk to a woman, the more a man is going to try to be human and be decent for a woman, his chances of falling to the friend zone will skyrocket. So with that knowledge, most men will just say, fuck it, I'm not doing that again. And if anything, I'm going to just be mysterious or treat her like shit. That way, if she says no, well, I treat her like shit. Okay, whatever. But most men are not. At this day, women have destroyed the opportunity of being treated like human. Woman has literally destroyed the opportunity of becoming treated like human because they treated men so terribly the whole time. Right? Like I said earlier, if every man had his dream would be to treat a woman with decency. If every man had the option to treat a woman like shit or treat a woman like decency and have a family with them, every single man would choose to treat him with decency. There is not many men on earth who would actively choose to treat a woman bad. Very few men. Every man would choose to be rational, to be understanding, to be caring, to work out whatever the problem was. Every man's first instinct is to be like that. It's the women who don't allow that opportunity to take foot. Because, okay, any of these men, if any of these men tried to approach Melissa Ford and genuinely just be nice, not on some like player shit like, hey, and all that shit, but like, hey, like I just really enjoyed this event. I would just like to, take you out sometime, maybe we just talk about, whatever the fuck, right? And here's my number, right? The more he talks, the higher his chances of being rejected because he'll be too soft, too caring, not enough, whatever the fuck. She'll find something. But who doesn't get that? The guy who treats her like shit. The guy who gets her brain working and the why she's not good enough. Yeah. Yeah, I remember Vivica Fox. Vivica Fox was pretty much like Melissa Ford. She was that black woman that was like hot as fuck back in the Melissa Ford she was like a weird hot, but like Vivica Fox was like hot. Like Vivica Fox was from my memory of her back in the day, she was like hot. But yeah, Vivica Fox used to look good, but she's now old and bitter. She laughed at Kevin Samuels. Yeah, I'm sure she would laugh at him. Yeah. Somebody, because Vivica Fox fits the same profile. The woman who's she's just missed her boat and she'll never get it back. Because then the hard part, like the sad part about the inevitable demise of woman, especially like the more prettier they are, the more successful they are, the sad demise is like, let's say like Melissa Ford, for example. See, as she gets older, luckily she's been able to hold on to whatever little figure that she has left at 47, right? But age is going to keep compounding. She can't outrun age unless she dies. She won't be able to outrun age. And it's going to get worse year after year, month after month, week after week. She's going to notice more and more, right? And the more she slowly starts to fall down, she's going to remember how she treated guys when she was on top. She knows she was awful. Every woman knows what they do to men in these. Every woman knows, but they all think they can outrun inevitable aging. And that makes them even more bitter and angry. So I'm not surprised at all. Vivica Fox, I'm sure she probably threw a party about it. To let some of that frustration out on somebody else who probably literally spelled out her entire life in a live stream without even knowing her. But that's it. I'm gonna get out of here because it's 9:52. I'm just getting tired of talking, honestly. But yeah, thanks everybody. RBT, peace has cost you your strength. Victory has defeated you. Hey, what's up, RBT? He said, peace. Thanks for the $1, man. Thanks for the $1 donation. He says, Peace has cost you your strength. Victory has defeated you. People think winning something is the goal. If you win, you must prepare to battle to keep that win. Yeah. Yeah. There is no real finish line, man. We just keep going. But yeah, thanks everybody who donated. XXX, thanks a lot, man. Stefan, thanks a lot. Bruce Lee, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. I'm gonna get out of here because I'm just getting tired of talking, honestly, and it's getting late. So thanks to anybody who donated. Like, what's this say? Don't let the name fool you. What's this? New notification 3 hours ago. I don't know what that is. Okay, some Streamlabs and said something else. Anyway, I'm getting out of here. You guys have a good day, evening, night, wherever you are, and I catch you later, man. Peace out.